Hi everyone, welcome at DogeCon. Please grab your merch from the chair and take a seat. We'll start in a couple of minutes. Hi everyone and welcome at DogeCon. Can I get a warm applause for Tony?
Hi everyone, DogeCon is here. Are you ready? I'm Tony from Side Protocol. So today, before we officially kick off our DogeCon, we have a very special guest speaker who wants to say something to us. And I think most of us here know who he is. Let's welcome Brian Johnson. Hey, Brian, can you hear me? This is Tony here.
I can hear you.
Good to see you again, Brian.
Good to see you.
Yeah, so right now I'm in Abu Dhabi hosting DogeCon, the biggest DogeCon event with our lovely DogeCoin community. Yeah, I know you're super busy with your trip in China. Do you want to say anything to our attendees today?
Yes, I'm here to tell you guys to go to bed on time tonight, to not drink alcohol, don't eat junk food, and make sure you get exercise as you're at the conference today.
Sleep as much as you can, don't die, and have much fun with Doge, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so also a quick question for you, Brian. I'm curious, what do you think of a Dogecoin? What makes Dogecoin so unique, so different?
Well, I mean, I think you want a wallet that's never going to die, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. And also for our audience today, most of us are definitely crypto people, and we travel a lot. Do you have any kind of health advice for people who often have to travel?
Yeah, I mean, you guys understand numbers because, it's either up or down in value. And so over the past couple of years, I've been trying to quantify DAI. That is this basic question, when you're taking an international trip, how much of life are you trading for that trip? Or, when you have a fast food meal or when you smoke a cigarette. And so I would say that international travel is a significant cost to human health. Of course, you can do it, and it's necessary in today's world. Also, as a general rule of thumb, I would try to reduce your international travel to maybe 1 time per quarter. Any more than that, it gets pretty taxing for the body. So just be mindful, you are paying life with travel. Also, I understand you're also trading, and that can be disruptive to your sleep. So we are the first generation who won't die. So it's worthwhile to prioritize your health and wellness. There will be plenty of time to make money in the future. Try not to squander precious life now in the pursuit.
Very cool. Yeah, let's give a round of applause for Brian. Yes. Actually, Brian is super busy today. I know your schedule is kind of like insanely tight. We really appreciate your time. Hope you have a great time in China. Wish you all the best. And again, let's sleep well. Don't die. Have much fun with Doge.
Don't die, you guys.
Yeah. And we hope we can see you again in DogeCon in person next year.
That'd be great. Great to see you guys. I wish you all the best at the conference. Have a great time.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Bye, guys.
Also, today we have another special guest, Charlie Lee, creator of Litecoin. So let's welcome Charlie Lee and also Carter Feldman, founder and the CEO of Side Protocol.
Hey, Charlie. Is my mic working?
Hey,
it is.
Carter.
So,
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you great. So, first of all, thank you so much for coming here. As everyone here knows, Charlie was the founder of the first altcoin, the first non-Bitcoin cryptocurrency that really took off. And it's an honor to have him here. He's been securing Dogecoin with his network for a very long time, and we're very appreciative. So let's first give a big welcome to Charlie. So thank you, Charlie Lee.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I bet you half of you are thinking, who the hell is this guy and why is he speaking? The other half is thinking, oh my God, it's the savior of Dogecoin.
It's the Toshi Light.
Probably somewhere in between, right?
No, everyone knows Charlie. But we'd love to hear like what's going on. So we see you're in the Bay. How's everything going? Yeah.
Good. I mean, it's great to be here. Dogecoin and Litecoin have I would say, a symbiotic relationship. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Fantastic. Now, Dogecoin really isn't alone in the sort of the altcoin space or in the Litecoin partnership ecosystem. What do you think of? There's been some recent proof of work chains that have come along, like Sai and others that are trying to make proof of work cool again. I'm curious, like, how do you see the POW landscape, and where does Litecoin fit into this new wave?
Well, I've always thought that proof of work is, I mean, there's been a lot of these other things like proof of stake and other things, other algorithm coming out or that's been out. But I've always thought that proof of work is kind of the only one that matters. It's the only one that really does something unique. And I think to be money, like something like Litecoin, Dogecoin, it really needs to be proof of work and not something like proof of stake. So all I care about is proof of work.
I mean, you're definitely among fans here, and if we look at the longevity of the proof of work coins, you definitely see that, where if you actually need to expend energy to get coins, like who here knows, does anyone here know that Dogecoin is mined? That Dogecoin is a proof of work currency like Bitcoin? There's not that many around these days, and actually, we merge mine with Litecoin. So Litecoin has been securing Dogecoin for a very long time.
Are people familiar with the history? I mean,
we would love to hear it from you. There's no better person that could tell them. So we would love to have a history lesson on the altcoin landscape and on proof of work from Charlie Lee. That would be an honor.
I will be try to be as quick as possible. So Satoshi invented Bitcoin, right? Back in 2009. And he designed the mining algorithm to halve every 4 years. So when it first came out, it was 50 Bitcoins every, 10 minutes, every block. And then every 4 years, it would get cut in half. So after 4 years, it became 25, and then became 12.5, and then 6.25, and so on and so forth. When Litecoin forked Bitcoin, I copied, I didn't change that at all, right? I figured the reason why it was there is so that it gave the coin time to grow, time for the price to increase, such as the security will increase over time, and the halving would not really hurt it that much. So Litecoin started to do the same thing, started with 50 Litecoin every block, and then 25 after 4 years. But when Dogecoin forked from Litecoin, they decided to do something different, do something more fun. So I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, like 250,000 Dogecoin per block initially, and then it halved every like 4 weeks. So it was a lot faster than Litecoin or Bitcoin. And the problem with that is that the security would halve every 4 weeks, and it didn't really give Dogecoin enough time to, the price wouldn't like double every 4 weeks. So the security of the coin became really small over time. And then it became to a point where it was very cheap for anyone to attack Dogecoin. So in I think it was 2013 or something like that, Dogecoin had to make a decision what to do. And I proposed that Dogecoin merge mine with Litecoin to kind of share Litecoin security. So basically what that means is that miners of both coins protect each other, right? So if you're mining Litecoin, you're also mining Dogecoin and vice versa. And so by sharing like the security, both coins are kind of helping each other out. And in the beginning, people were very hesitant, but eventually they decided that was the best way forward. And then once merge mine happened, Dogecoin was able to survive any 51% attacks, and the rest is history.
So just to be clear for everyone, if it weren't for Litecoin, Dogecoin probably wouldn't exist today. And specifically, if it weren't for that merge mining proposal and for the work of the Dogecoin devs, including Patrick, who we'll be seeing in a bit, Dogecoin wouldn't exist today. So I think we owe a great debt of gratitude to yourself and to the Litecoin contributors for keeping Dogecoin going all these years. And there's
like what's great is that initially Litecoin was protecting Dogecoin, and today you could argue that it's the opposite. Dogecoin mining is securing Litecoin more so than the other way around. So it's kind of it's been a great partnership, so to speak.
Absolutely. I mean, even with the increased price of Dogecoin, like again, if it didn't exist, it wouldn't matter, right? So all our thanks to you, and I'm sure there's a whole lot of miners around the world, big and small, that are also very grateful for merge mining. So, is there anything else you would like to let us know or say about Doge?
Yeah, what's interesting is that Dogecoin, the block reward doesn't have anymore, right? Is it like 10,000 Dogecoins per block right now? and it goes on like this for forever, right? So this is what's called like tail emission. So this is something that Bitcoin and Litecoin doesn't have, right? So Bitcoin, people in the Bitcoin space, some are worried that over the long run, the block rewards will get so small that the security will disappear and Bitcoin would be easy to attack, right? It's kind of still an experiment. We don't know what would happen. Like something like 100 years, 140 years in the future, block rewards will go to 1 Satoshi, right? By then, are the fees enough to secure the network? We don't know, right? So, but with something like tail emission with Dogecoin, there will always be enough block reward to secure the network. And likewise, because Litecoin is merge mined with Dogecoin, Litecoin also benefits from that tail emission. So it's kind of a interesting novel security model that is different than Bitcoin. So we'll see how that plays out over time.
I mean, with nation states, you see it too, right? Like, does a country need inflation to be able to afford its military to protect itself? So it's definitely a deeper debate. Some of us are not fans of inflation, but yeah, to your point, like, in 50 years, will Bitcoin still be viable to mine? It's an open question. I think Bitcoin will keep going up, and I think we all hope that that's the case, that it'll keep going up with the halving. But yeah, great insights, and again, we really appreciate you being here today, and hopefully next time, hope to see you in person, especially if we do a San Francisco or Bay Area event. But yeah, thank you so much for your time, Charlie.
Of course. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure. Any last words for DogeCon?
Have fun, guys. It's all about having fun, right?
That's the spirit of Doge. Thank you so much, Charlie. Let's give a hand for Charlie. Satoshi Light. Amazing. I'll let our yeah.
Thank you so much. Again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us to DogeCon 2025, the world's most influential conference of Dogecoin innovation, ecosystem growth, and cross-chain collaboration. And today we are excited to have lots of friends here with us. Charlie and Brian are joining us online. We are super appreciative. And of course, a huge thank you to our organizer, Side Protocol, for making this happen and bridging the coolest network in crypto. So I guess the coolest network must have the coolest founder. Now, please warmly welcome to the stage Mr. Carter Jack Feldman, founder and CEO of Sai. And before that, please watch a video. Thank you.
Back. So yeah, I promise this is my last one. This is my last one. I know I've been hogging the microphone. But we have something very exciting to talk about today. Hopefully my PowerPoint is coming up. I think it will. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about P-Doge. So does anyone here have any Dogecoin? Any Dogecoin fans? Any Dogecoin holders? Who here custodies their own Dogecoin? Meaning you have a Dogecoin wallet. So some of the people. But the majority of people that hold Doge hold it on an exchange like Binance or Bitfinex or OKX or one of these other exchanges, right? And part of our mission at Sai, in addition to promoting proof of work in our own protocol, we're also very deeply concerned about the bankification, the sort of big tentacled financialification of crypto. And as part of that mission, we want to make sure that users can custody their own funds. And that's why we've been working with Solana to make P-Doge, which is the first secure bridge between Solana and Dogecoin. First, just a little bit about myself. So in my teenage years, I was a relatively well-known black hat hacker. I developed the first remote code execution exploit for video game consoles. So like if you joined my game, I could take over your console, naive things you do as a teenager, right? So I've moved on from then. I'm also on the board of the directors of the largest Bitcoin miner in MENA, or in the Middle East and North Africa, which is NIPG. Love those guys. I've also done a little bit in the gaming industry, so I built the first modding client for the mobile version of Minecraft, which has a whole lot of installs, and we built a great developer community around. And previous to having my POW awakening, I was actually a very prominent member in the proof of stake community. So before Solana and before some of these other POS chains that have now come to dominate the crypto sphere, there was a chain called EOS. Anyone remember that? I didn't work for Block One. I didn't take your money, I promise. But at the time, Vitalik called it Ethereum on steroids. And I ran a block producer that had over $1.5 billion staked. At our peak, we processed hundreds of millions of transactions. But one day, I learned about zero-knowledge proofs, and I had a change of heart, and I realized that proof of work can come back. And that's when I founded Psi Protocol. Now, the too long didn't read of this talk is that we've built a really, really good proof of work to Solana Bridge. It's secured by proof of math, which means you don't have to trust the economics, you don't have to trust me, you don't have to trust our team. All you have to trust is that 1 + 1 = 2. These basic mathematical axioms. And it's secured by technology called zero-knowledge proofs. Anyone ever heard of zero-knowledge proofs? There was some hype around it before, and then people were like, well, what do we need these for? But they're very important because they allow us to shift the security sort of ethos of a chain away from people and towards math, right? Because we all know that math can be relied upon. And more critically, we're able to mathematically guarantee that every P-Doge, every wrapped Doge that we mint on Solana is backed 1-to-1 by Doge. So anyone ever used a bridge before? Have you ever bridged, right? What do you care about with a bridge? What's the most important thing? The most important thing is that the bridge doesn't get hacked. They don't take your money, right? Oh, you got the wrapped one, but if you want to get your original collateral back, you can't, right? That's what people care about with bridges. And for that, you want to make sure it doesn't depeg or go away. Like we saw, anyone know Terra Luna? Terra Luna, right? What happened? It depegged. So $1 US wasn't worth one whatever scam that they had, right? So it's very important that you don't depeg. And we've also managed to have all of this security while making an incredible, never seen before user experience for Bridge. So it's very exciting, or at least we think so. The process is super simple. Connect your Solana wallet, and then we automatically generate a deposit address for you. And any Dogecoin that you send to that deposit address, so it's a normal Dogecoin address, you can withdraw from Binance or from whatever exchange you want, and you send some Dogecoin to that wallet, and once you send it, a few minutes later, magically, that P-Doge arrives in your wallet. That's it. That's the bridging process. And when you want to withdraw, you just enter the Dogecoin address you want to send it to, so maybe you want to deposit in an exchange or send to your friend on Dogecoin. You just enter the amount, enter the address, click withdraw, wait a few minutes, and then the recipient receives your Dogecoin. So this is a magical user experience that previously we only saw with a centralized exchange, right? Because it's easy enough. Okay, you send me the wrapped Doge, I send you the equivalent amount on Dogecoin. As long as you trust me, then it's fine. But of course, what if I get hacked or something? So here we can see a full working demo, which will be launching rather soon. You just paste in the deposit address. So here we're fauceting from our testnet faucet. You can withdraw from an exchange, whatever, send it from your Dogecoin wallet. Deposit in, it automatically starts minting the P-Doge. It waits for a few confirmations. Once the confirmations are done, you can see we now have 69 P-Doge that have been deposited. And we want to bridge back. Enter the amount of Doge you want to bridge back. Enter a Dogecoin address. Sign in bridge. We have now, once I click approve, we have now initiated from Solana a transaction on the Dogecoin network. It's that easy. It takes 30 seconds. You can see it's going through the whole process again. Oh, by the way, if anyone ever needs any testnet Dogecoin, let me know. I'm a billionaire. I don't have that much Doge. I mean, I have a substantial amount of Dogecoin, but I am one of the richest testnet Dogecoin folks out there. I have been mining for quite a while, so if you need it, let me know. But yeah, it's a really simple process and a really excellent user experience. But most importantly with bridges, the main concern for most people is not, okay, is it easy to use? It's more like, okay, if I use this, are they going to just steal my money, right? Because we're trying to use this. We're trying to use this to maybe get some rewards on Solana, but we're not trying to risk our principal. And for other bridges, they kind of tend to fold under pressure, and we've seen this several times. So we call ourselves the most secure bridge. What does that actually mean? Well, if we look at other bridges, what happens if Kim Jong-un sets his beautiful eyes onto your bridge and it gets hacked? Well, one, the private key of the bridge can be stolen and your funds are gone, right? So can funds be stolen? Hell yes, right? If they get hacked by North Korea. And if the token is now controlled by Kim Jong-un, he could also decide, oh, I'm just going to mint a bunch of the wrapped Doge, right? I'm going to stake it or use it on Solana, and I'm just going to make billions of it and squeeze as much money as I can out of that lemon. And of course, once he's plundered your funds to build a palace or something, there's no more Dogecoin to be withdrawn, right? Now, this is one scenario that bridges actually need to consider. We've seen bridges get hacked. Who here has read on Twitter about a bridge getting hacked? I feel like it's every couple months, right? Billions of dollars. Now, another scenario that you might be thinking about is like, what if our servers have a problem? We all remember AWS will go down from time to time, or like, there's a big outage, right? But, at Psy, we really take security very seriously. So we think of it as, what happens if our servers get hit by a missile, right? So what if the servers are destroyed irrecoverably? Will our users still be able to access their funds? Well, for other bridges, the bridge is gone, the private key is gone, the funds are never coming back. So while your funds aren't stolen by anyone, you'll never get them back because they're gone. And of course, one thing that we've seen recently occur, specifically in Paris, there is a notable wallet boss or the owner of a very notable wallet that was kidnapped. And the question comes up, maybe you're using a bridge that's made by good people, right? People that wouldn't just take your money. But what if they got kidnapped? Right? Imagine you have a bridge with $3 billion in it, which there are some bridges that have that. And they're the target of a kidnapping. And they say, give me all the funds in the bridge, or else I'm going to shoot you. So let's say they get kidnapped by Somali pirates. What happens then? Anyone out there, if someone had a gun to your head and says, give me the bridge funds, you're probably going to give it to them, right? And we believe that in most cases, the team would prefer a finger over the security of your funds. And they'd be willing to print if that could get them out of Dodge. And of course, once the pirates are done with them, there's no more funds to be had. So other bridges in these scenarios, which I know it may sound ridiculous, but this has started happening as crypto is getting bigger, they're really not trustworthy. And especially if you have a large amount of your net worth, or if we're talking about millions or billions of dollars being staked, these are problems that we need to worry about. So with our bridge, when we say most secure, what we mean is that even if every server operated by Psy, whether it's Doge related or not, even if it gets hacked by North Korea, you're fine. Because we have no access to the funds. And what the bridge does is generate mathematical proofs that the users who deposited in actually deposited to a valid bridge address. However, we can't generate a false proof because we're generating a mathematical zero-knowledge proof, and it's verified by the Solana program. So if you were to generate a proof or a fake proof that says, hey, Kim Jong-un actually gets to have all of the Doge, the proof will just not be able to be verified on Solana. So you're guaranteed the security of your funds. The same thing is true with being struck by a missile. We don't hold the keys. If it gets destroyed, sure, it sucks for us. But actually, we can recover the full state of the node, the full database, everything stored on that, by re-indexing the Solana and Dogecoin blockchains. So all the data is available on-chain. And you can actually sync a full bridge node just by looking at a Solana archive node and a Dogecoin node. And also, for withdrawing funds, even if there's an AWS outage, you can force a withdrawal, or even if we're kidnapped by pirates or whatever, you can force a withdrawal if the bridge server is offline. So the worst thing that Kim Jong-un could do if he hacked into our servers is stop the bridge. But even if he stops the bridge server, you can still withdraw and you can still claim deposits by generating a zero-knowledge proof. So when we say this is secure, we mean it. Like we are taking by far the most, shall we say, ridiculous or impactful or dangerous scenarios into account. And more broadly, I spoke a little bit about our mission earlier, about getting people to self-custody their funds, people to really start being a crypto user, right, to embody the values of our movement. And because we have this super simple UX that doesn't compromise on the security values that make crypto great, we want to start a new, I guess, calling to folks to withdraw to Solana, to use Solana as a replacement for this centralized exchange, this sort of traditional financial means of interacting with cryptocurrency. And with our bridge, centralized exchange users, for the first time, can frictionlessly withdraw their crypto assets, whether it be Dogecoin, soon Bitcoin, directly to Solana. So you don't even need to have a Dogecoin wallet, right? You just connect your Solana wallet, generate the deposit address, paste the deposit address into Binance, and you can start using dApps and DeFi with your Dogecoin. And also for Dogecoin itself, it means that there's on-chain transactions. Again, most Doge holders have never made a transaction on Dogecoin because they just buy on the exchange, and the exchange doesn't need to send funds when funds are transferred from one account to another. It's just a database. So this also means more gas fees for miners, and it means that Dogecoin is more secure in the long term. Okay, so this is all fun and great, right? We've sort of said, okay, you can have an amazing user experience. It's going to be great. It's super easy to use. And even if Kim Jong-un hacks us or I'm kidnapped by Somali pirates, your funds are safe. So how do we do all of this? Well, like all sort of great innovations in the crypto space, usually the UX is simple, right? It's easy for the users to understand and use. But oftentimes, these great experiences don't exist originally because there's a lot of tech that goes into making them possible. And specifically, it's very hard to guarantee without a centralized server that if you deposit into a Dogecoin address, that same user will be compensated correctly on Solana, right? So what we do is a little trick where we embed your Solana public key into a Dogecoin address. And that's unique to your Solana account. So any funds that you send to that address can only be claimed by the corresponding user on Solana. So it guarantees that if you deposit into the bridge, that you're the only one that can be minted those tokens. And we've got some details down here. But the main thing to know is that what we actually do is we generate a zero-knowledge proof, a mathematical proof, whenever we mint new Dogecoins on Solana, that a user deposited into one of these addresses, and that the user we're minting the tokens to on Solana has a public key that corresponds to the Dogecoin address that was deposited into. So we have that firm coupling between the two, and we generate a mathematical proof that it's the case. In addition, to make this possible, we need to verify every single Dogecoin block on Solana. So what we've done is we've written all of the logic of a Dogecoin node in a Solana program. So that means that Solana is now a Dogecoin validator. Every single Dogecoin block is validated by our Solana program. And in that program, we build what's called anyone ever heard of a Merkle tree? Maybe. Maybe some people have heard of Merkle tree. It's a cryptographic way to store a lot of information in a small commitment. And we store a bit vector, or a list of zeros and ones, where each 0 and 1 says whether or not a specific Dogecoin transaction output is one that's being claimed, automatically claimed by the bridge. And then in addition, we build a tree of all of these deposits that hashes the transaction ID of your Dogecoin transaction, the output, or the amount that's being spent, the public key, and this is added to this tree that's appended to over time, which means that we have a cryptographic proof of every deposit that's ever been made by the bridge, and that proof includes the user's Solana public key. So we have a way of trustlessly knowing who deposited what, how much did they deposit, and what Solana user it goes to. So you're mathematically guaranteed that if Dogecoin is minted on the bridge, that it's going to go to your Solana account, as long as you use your deposit address. Now, for this, it takes a lot of work. I'm gonna go through some of this. We've got some non-technical folks I know it could be a little bit dry, but at its core, the way that we enabled this user experience was by allowing the vast majority of deposits to be automatically claimed by the bridge and minted to the users. And we do this via a rather complicated mechanism that, again, you prove that I've deposited for a specific user's address, and then we generate a batch of mints, so we do 24 mints per batch on Solana, and for each of those batches, we cryptographically verify that the person that you're minting to matches the deposit that we added to the tree. But what if your deposit doesn't get auto-claimed, right? So you can see here that this is the whole process, but I'm sure we can skip through that. But the important thing is we do need to know which deposits to your address were auto-claimed by the bridge and which weren't. Because let's say the server is hit by a missile, right? Our server's hit by a missile, it's not going to be helping you automatically claim any of your deposits, right? You're GG. Well, not really, because the bridge also constructs a tree which marks which transaction outputs for each deposit were automatically claimed by the tree. So if you made a deposit that doesn't exist in that tree, you can cryptographically prove, we'll get to there, you can cryptographically prove that that transaction hasn't been claimed by the tree, and therefore I can mint the Doge for that deposit myself. So we're enabling that user experience of just generate the deposit address, deposit in, and get your wrapped Doge. While at the same time, even if our server goes down and it doesn't automatically do it for you, you can still get your coins. And this is not such an easy problem to solve because you can imagine, let's say it processed some of the deposits. Well, if it's already been processed, then you've been minted some Dogecoin on Solana. Let's say you deposit in 100 Doge and you get automatically minted 100 Doge on Solana. And then I'm going to go and claim that, hey, they didn't auto-claim for me, so I should get another 100 Doge. Well, in order to prevent that situation, we have to have a way of mapping every single Dogecoin transaction output to a 1 or a 0, meaning like we can know absolutely on-chain whether or not a given Dogecoin transaction deposit has been processed. And since we have that, we can allow the users, even when the bridge is down, to claim their Dogecoin, which means even if North Korea hacks our servers, even if it gets hit by a missile, even if, knock on wood, our whole team is on a plane, Malaysia Airlines, you never see it again, right? MH370 or whatever it is. Even if we're on MH370, you can still get your Dogecoins, right? You're good to go. Because we have this, we like to call it a trapdoor or an escape hatch is probably a better word. And again, the reason why this kind of a bridge doesn't exist right now is because it's very difficult to have that auto-claim user experience and that escape hatch, which ensures that even if I'm not around, you can still get your Dogecoins. And for withdrawals, there's a similar process. You just request a withdrawal in Solana, and then the chain will verify that that request is legit and you've burned your wrapped Doge on Solana. And then it appends to a Merkle tree with a leaf that has the address that you want to send off to. So maybe I'm depositing into Binance or something, and the amount. And then later, our bridge or our bridge operator then proves that it's constructed a transaction with valid inputs that haven't been spent, which has those outputs that match the requested withdrawals. So the only way that the bridge can ever spend the Dogecoin that's been deposited in is if it has a zero-knowledge proof that proves that those withdrawals were requested on Dogecoin, meaning that the output amounts of that transaction have already been burned on Solana. And that means that if there exists a Dogecoin on Solana, a P-Doge, that there is a corresponding Dogecoin in the custody of that wallet, meaning that it can't get depegged, right? Because imagine you make a withdrawal, but you keep your P-Doge. Well, that wouldn't be good because you could just keep trying to withdraw it and then just drain the bridge. But this process allows us to avoid all of that and to ensure that the only way to claim your Doge back on Dogecoin is if you burn the corresponding amount on Solana, and the only way to create that P-Doge on Dogecoin is to deposit into that wallet. So yeah, it's quite nice. But yeah, so there's a whole process by which the withdrawals process works. The main thing that I want to say here is that unfortunately, Dogecoin currently cannot verify zero-knowledge proofs. Now that may change soon. We've made a proposal. Fingers crossed. You'll hear from Patrick. Maybe he'll say something about it. No hints there. I'm sure Patrick is out there watching. But maybe that will change. But in order to actually custody the funds, we needed to find someone that could work with us in a threshold signature manner, meaning that we're not willing to trust one person to custody these funds and verify that proof. So we worked with Wormhole, which has a network of 18 guardians, I believe it's 18, guardians, who all need to sign a message that approves that the transaction actually occurred on Solana in order to release the funds for a withdrawal. And that means that if you wanted to drain the bridge or hack into the bridge, North Korea would have to compromise not 1, not 2, but at least 11 of those nodes, which are distributed internationally, operated by different teams, in order to get access to your funds. So if 1 of them has downtime, no problem. If 3 of them have downtime, no problem. If 5 of them get hacked, no problem, right? And we prefer fully trustless, but unfortunately, due to the limitations of Doge, we do need to have a what's called a cryptographic signature in there. And kudos to all of the friends at Wormhole that have been working on this with us, and of course the Solana Foundation for pairing us up. But this is really the most airtight that you can be. And to be clear, these guardians that are verifying these proofs already secure billions of dollars of funds. So if somehow they were able to, I don't know, round up all of the guardians and kidnap them and put them at gunpoint all at once, Dogecoin would not be the first on the chopping block. There's a lot of USDT and Bitcoin in there as well, billions and billions of dollars. So again, if we're hit by a missile strike, though, after 24 hours of not receiving a new blocks, because remember, we verify every single Dogecoin block on chain. If there's 24 hours and we're not receiving blocks, maybe we did get hit by a missile, or maybe the team was on an unfortunate Malaysia Airlines flight, right? In that case, anyone can download the open source block prover and start proving blocks, which means that you can claim deposits, prove withdrawals, get your Dogecoin back, and for as long as the operator doesn't come on, the community can submit those proofs. Once the operator comes back online, let's say we're hit by a missile, and I'm like, shit, I've got to download the code on GitHub. Thank God I'm alive, by the way. I'm downloading the code on GitHub. All I need is a Dogecoin node and a Solana node, and I can resync my node, and then the bridge starts operating like normal, right? So not only during downtime are we guaranteed that you can claim your deposits that you put into the chain, and also process your withdrawals, meaning you can switch back your P-Doge for your Dogecoin on Dogecoin. In addition, we can also come back too, right? Because while we're down, while you can still claim your deposits and process your withdrawals, it needs to be done manually. So you have to download a piece of software and generate a zero-knowledge proof for it. But we can come back online, ensure that that UX comes back, and again, sync the entire database, the entire state of our bridge, purely from on-chain data, which has never been done before by a bridge, and we're quite proud of it. It was not an easy task. But again, you may be thinking, okay, it's a cool bridge, it's easy to use, why is this important? Well, first and foremost, Dogecoin is a proof-of-work token, which means there's no native yield. How do you earn money with your Dogecoin, right? And Dogecoin is an inflation. So we need some way to get rewards from our Dogecoin, and of course, the way that we generally generate yield on crypto is through leverage, right? You can lend out your Dogecoin, and then people can use that to build a levered Dogecoin position, which a lot of people like to, do a 5x long on Dogecoin. And this enables it to be done in a trustless manner. You can imagine, if you have a centralized bridge that, I don't know, gets hacked by North Korea, or has a potential to be hacked by North Korea, that yield is going to be significantly decreased by the priced-in danger of the funds just being worthless, right? And with our bridge, we make that a thing of the past. But more importantly, this means that you can now, that all of those Dogecoin holders, the majority of people that hold Dogecoin, can, for the first time, have an impetus to custody, to hold their own Dogecoin on-chain, and pry it from the hands of Sam Bankman-Fried and whatever that woman's name was, Caroline something, the criminal one, right? Take it off your centralized exchange and put it in your wallet. That's what we want to tell everyone. And we've made it really easy. And we think we are a small part of what will eventually become a very large movement to withdraw to Solana. So everyone, let's say together, withdraw to Solana. Withdraw to Solana. Fuck finance. No, I didn't say it. Fuck centralized exchanges, right? Right, because just sort of hearkening back, we heard from Charlie Lee, which, by the way, I'm so appreciative for Charlie if he's watching now. Let's all remember that in the Genesis block, Satoshi essentially established Bitcoin as an alternative to what he saw as an unstable and unethical and a non-viable banking industry. And centralized exchanges are essentially banks, right? It's the place where most people hold their crypto. And we think that's, of course, it's very ironic that this is the case, but it's also antithetical to the values that we think actually makes crypto great. And I think behind the sort of big price increases and the astronomical value of crypto are those values. That's the real reason why cryptocurrency is so valuable. Because it can't be taken away. Because Kim Jong-un, no matter how much he wants it, he can't steal it from you. And no matter how many pirates board your ship, as long as you don't tell them the password to your ledger, you'll be fine. So again, we want to make this the start of what hopefully will be a long and successful, PSYOP to convince the centralized exchange users to custody their funds. But very briefly, in addition to this bridge, I also work on a project called Psi Protocol, which is a new privacy-preserving blockchain that can scale to millions of transactions per second. So it's a proof-of-work blockchain. Anyone proof-of-work fans or miners? Any miners? POW folks? We got some proof-of-work fans in the house. You know, the cool thing about proof of work is that the only way to get a proof of work token is if you spend energy, right? Like, how many proof of stake projects have just totally rugged their users because they got all the tokens for free, right? If I make a proof of stake project, the tokens start in my foundation, right? Or I airdrop them to myself, right? And then I'm going to sell to you, right? But with proof of work blockchains, I got to mine them too. Right? So everyone needs to give a little in order to get some. And that's what gives proof of work chains their longevity. That's why even now, after so many years, Charlie Lee is standing here giving us a talk on crypto, right? Like, these coins have been around for more than a decade. And the reason why they stay around is because miners, because that mining community, and because of friends like the great overlords at Bitmain, who we love. And we're very grateful to have them here as a sponsor as well. And because of that mining community, these chains have longevity. But with Psi, you also get privacy. So everyone's heard of privacy and Zcash going wild, hoo-ha, and so on and so forth. But Psi brings something to the table that's really special, which is we allow smart contracts with privacy, which means that, let's say, you want to hold your assets privately. Like, I guess maybe taking a little bit back, does anyone here feel comfortable publishing their credit card statement on the internet? Who here would like to publish their credit card statement on the internet? Just let everyone know what your bank statement is, every transaction you've ever made. Would anyone here feel uncomfortable with that? I would, right? But the thing is, with a blockchain like Ethereum or even Solana, Bitcoin, every transaction that you make, the sender and receiver and the amount is public information. So if we, as a movement, are trying to tell people that crypto is going to replace cash or replace Visa or MasterCard, like, in its current instantiation, everyone's transactions would be public. So most people would not be down with that. But with Psi, we allow you to have that privacy, which is, Monero and Zcash have. But because we have smart contracts, it also means that to use Psi for your everyday spending, you don't have to denominate your payments in our own token. Maybe you don't think Psi is going to be a very valuable token, right? Maybe you want to transact like a normal person in US dollars, right? Because we have smart contracts, you can deploy a USDT contract, bridge your USDT or Bitcoin over, transact privately in Bitcoin or in USDT or in USD whatever, and you still get your privacy. Maybe you pay a little transaction fee in Psi, but you don't need to hold your assets in the privacy-preserving protocol's native token in order to get the benefits of privacy. Which, with something like Zcash, what can you do with Zcash? I could send Zcash from one person to another, right? With Monero, if you're comfortable having your entire net worth in Monero, then it's great, right? But if you want to hold Bitcoin, then you're not going to get the privacy, and with Psi you do. In addition, we can support the millions of parallel transactions that are required to replace something like cash. And Solana has been extremely helpful in our mission to make privacy cool again, to make proof of work cool again, and frankly is a bulwark in this new movement to offboard centralized exchange users to the blockchain. Solana has one of the by far best user experiences in the game and is closest, if not superior, to centralized exchange user experience. And we've seen over this past cycle that they are the only ones that have been successful in converting those, you can call them crypto naive or crypto noobs, but we can call them the majority of people that hold crypto, to getting them to actually come on chain. And we're forever thankful for them for that. And in the future, we really hope that Solana can be this financial hub for proof of work assets, so that people that speculate on Bitcoin can also explore the values and benefit from self-custody and not have to worry about Sam Bankman-Fried stealing all of their money. So kudos to Solana for sponsoring the event and being such a great partner. We've got some really cool tech. Basically, the reason why we're able to do private smart contracts is we made a really fast prover that you can run on your machine. So because you generate a proof for your transactions on your machine, you actually don't send the transactions to chain. You just send the proof. So the data that you put into the proof never has to leave your computer. So no one will ever see it. So they don't know who you're sending it to, how much you're sending. All the chain knows is that it's a valid transaction, which is great because then you don't have to tell the blinkies or whatever you want. The people that may be watching, or maybe your competitor if you're operating a business account, who you're sending money to and what transactions you're making. But we've got really cool privacy stuff. Come check us out. We've been building this for 3 years. Thank you to all of our investors, especially Blockchain Capital, for believing us and sort of letting us be cracked and kind of do our thing for several years. But we're really excited that privacy is now getting some more love, and we're really excited for our launch. But so join our movement, check out our bridge. You can follow us on X at Sci Protocol or CMPQ, that's mine. Check out our website at sci.xyz. And thank you, everyone, for bearing with me through this dry and boring technical talk. So thank you very much, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Carter, for your inspiring speech. I'm sure you all have a clear picture about Sci and what we are doing currently. So now let's move on to the new mining dynamics and the hardware innovation. How could we advance the mining technology? Our next speaker is coming from one of the most influential companies of the global crypto mining industries. Please warmly welcome to the stage Mr. Jamie Chen, Vice Head of Altcoin Miners at Bitmain. Please welcome.
Is it time to go?
Jimmy, we are ready when you are. We see you in the corner. But you can join us on stage. Yes. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Jimmy. I'm from Bitmain and in charge of the Altcoin mining products. It's my honor to be here, and today I just want to share some observations on the mining side and about Doge mining and Doge mining. And let's start with DogeCoin. Next page. Oh, okay. Yeah, when we are talking about Doge, what is popping up in your mind? Yeah, meme. So, yeah, dog, of course. And maybe speculations, maybe Elon, maybe POW, mining. All of these are correct, but let's jump back to 2013. Doge was born with a joke. It's a meme, but it's different. As we all know, there are a lot of memes on the market, but most of them cannot go through a cycle or even live more than 1 year. But Doge have lived for more than 10 years. Why? I believe it's because of the cultural brand. Doge is not just a meme, it's a culture POW asset. And furthermore, Doge has a unique position. It's a bridge between internet culture and the crypto or blockchain infrastructure. Doge evolved from just a meme into a cultural POW asset, and the meme is a brand, and the brand gives it staying power. So as we mentioned before, Doge has this culture brand. So what is the backbone of culture brand? I believe is community. The tech is simple, but the community is not. For over a decade, people have used Doge for tipping, memes, and donations. It has very sticky online culture and the community. Elon is an attention amplifier. When he tweets or when there is a rumor about the X payment, Doge jumps back into the center of conversation. So from mining perspective, that matters because attention brings liquidity, and the liquidity supports POW network over time. And then let's dive deep into Doge's market position. I want to divide this in 4 aspects. The first is the brand recognition. When we are talking about mining, talking about POW, the first thing, of course, is Bitcoin. But the second thing, we usually think about Doge, and then we may think about LTC or ETC, something other altcoin, POW altcoins. And the second aspect is the deep liquidity. Doge has a very high trading volume across various exchanges. And the third one, so it's broad support by the various exchanges. Doge is almost listed by all exchanges around the world. And the fourth one is the market maturity. And Doge is not only recognized by the retail players and also the institutional players. We can see the DAT companies and the first ETF listed last month. And then I have a question. We should have a question about why DogeCon stays in miners' radar. Why miners should consider Doge, or at least keep Doge in their mind. The first thing is unique multiple earning from scripts. Doge mining is basically the script mining, which means when you are mining Doge, you can get revenue from other scripts, cryptos like LTC, like other smaller coins. So there is a multiple revenue stream mining. And the second thing is effortless monetization. As I mentioned before, Doge is listed by various of exchange. It has huge trading volume. So the miners get Doge and then can very easily convert Doge to other assets they want or the even fiat currency. So it's strategically important for the miners to keep the Doge in their mind and considering to mine Doge. Doge has strong brand and deep market liquidity, and the profitable merge mining economics ensures its central role in scripts mining operations. Yeah, and then we need to think about the utility of Doge. The Doge's primary utility lies in facilitating quick, economical, accessible transactions, positioning it perfectly as an internet phone money and community payment token. Unlike complex DeFi platform, Doge thrives on simplicity and direct utility of small value transfer and tipping. As we mentioned before, Doge was used for tipping and the small amount donation. And the combination of fast block time, low transaction fees, and straightforward user experience makes Doge ideal for use cases like tipping or daily small payments. This has fueled a strong media of exchange narrative, particularly with discussion around major platforms like X or various merchants accepting Doge. While some of the reflects genuine adoption, it consistently reinforced Doge's distinct role as a community-driven payment solution. And let's see the tokenomics of Doge. It's pretty unique, and its emission schedule is pretty different from Bitcoin. Doge don't halve. And Doge features a constant block reward with no maximum supply. The percentage inflation declines over time, but never goes to zero. It's creating an inflationary economy. So this kind of inflationary nature encouraging spending of the Doge. And there is another narrative, which says Doge is a store of value. Is that true? I personally believe it's more behavioral than protocol, because Doge don't have a hard cap writing its protocol, unlike the BTC. But if there are many people believe it's a store of value and actually hold it, it will enhance this narrative. And yeah, I just want to do a brief summary about the Doge and what I talked until here. Doge is a meme origin chain that become a cultural POW asset. It has strong community plus attention cycle. It has a really solid liquidity, and also it's intentionally more inflationary design. And to understand Doge mining now, we need to see, firstly, how mining itself has evolved. In the next part, we will see the trend of mining, including the energy, cooling, and the professionalization, and how they connect back to Doge and script mining. Yeah, and first of all, let's talk about what is mining business. It's about a really simple equation. Mining profit is about the block reward plus fees minus power minus operation expense. The mining industry has evolved from just having more hash rate, more machine, to complicated infrastructure and operations management. Modern mining resembles power infrastructure projects and data center side operation. And I divided it to 4 important aspects. The first is the power price and contract. It's better to have a lower price power with a long contract. It's the sustainability on the cost side of mining. And the second thing is the grid reliability. You should have, if you are a miner, you should have a stable grid to keep your business run stable and to reduce the uptime and downtime of mining. And third one is the deploy speed. Once you can deploy the miners faster, you have longer time to mine and have a longer time to get revenue. And the fourth is operational efficiency. It's about downtime management and optimization. And second thing we want to talk about is the energy. As we mentioned before, the mining is simply an equation, and the biggest cost is energy. Miners should focus on long-term and low-cost power. There are 4 sources of the sustainable and renewable power. The first is the hydro, which is the largest one currently, and the most stable one. The second one is solar and wind. This is pretty original, but it's pretty cheap. In my knowledge, there are some of the public companies acquiring some generators of wind and solar to reduce their energy price. The third one should be the gas. It's also pretty regional, and the gas price varies across the geographic regions. The third one is is nuclear. It's a booming star, actually. Ideally, it can provide a huge amount of energy with very low price and very stable. And then I also observe geographically, hash rate continues to follow cheap and stable power. In some market, miners actually sign demand response deals. And miners run when there is a surplus power generation on the grid, and they curtail operation during peak demand period. In return, they receive better pricing or compensation from grid operators. All of that directly feed back into unit economics per T hash. Power strategy is now as important as hardware selection. And then I need to talk about the cooling and the facility design. It's pretty much about the operation management. Mining facilities have evolved from basic air-cooled shafts to optimize airflow system and high-density layouts. Advanced operations now adopt immersion and hydro-cooling where scale and climate justify the investments. And there are 4 things we need to consider when you are doing mining. The first is rack density. It's about the, how much hash rate you can fit into the unit space. The second is performance stability. The third one is the hardware lifespan. And the fourth one is the nameplate efficiency. I just want to illustrate more about what is nameplate efficiency. For every miner, there is a nameplate stated is theoretical hash rate and efficiency. But whether it can actually reach that hash rate in real condition is a question. It depends on the fitness between the facility and the miner. So true unit cost per terahash now driven by power contracts, cooling and facility design, and real-world uptime, not lab conditions. It's how power, cooling, and uptime work together. And then I want to zoom out a little bit and talk about the market structure and professionalization. A significant share of the hash rate is now run by the listed companies and institutional buyers, institutional players. So for them, the transparency, the governance, the predictable operations is super important. And on the hosting side, specialized operators provide site, power, and operations with contracts written in megawatt and service level. And more players and miners are using the data center style facilities. This kind of facilities have standardized racks, defined power budget, and monitoring system, and clear maintenance procedure. This is not only for Bitcoin, actually. The same teams, size, and the financing structure are behind script mining for Litecoin and DogeCoin and other POW assets. And what script miners actually optimize? When choosing hardware, criteria are very practical. There are 3 criteria. The first is the efficiency. It's about joule per M hash or per unit hash under real side condition. The second is stability. It's about can miner run for 24/7 with minimal failures or minimal issues. And third one is about the facility fitness between the facility and the miners. And it actually includes 3 things. The first is power setup. The second thing is a cooling design. The third thing is the rack container data center environment. So in conclusion, there is no single best Doge miner in the abstract. The right choice depends on facility type and the constraints. So based on this kind of idea, Bitmain released its L11 series, the most cut-edge Doge and script miner. Yeah, we believe the different size means different realities. So we clustering these three, the size into three types. The first is traditional mining farms, and the second one is a hydro-cooled data center. The fourth one is the air-cooled data centers. The L11 family is our way to give each of those facility types a script option for Litecoin plus DogeCon mining. And there are three models under our L11 series. The first is L11. It's the best-in-class air cooling model. It offers fast deployment and broad compatibility. It's ideal for the traditional air cooling warehouse and also the air cooling containers. It delivers strong performance in standard air cooling condition. And the second one is the L11 HU2. It's a 2U rack mount server miner. It's designed for hydro-cooled data center. It can maximize the efficiency and the hash rate at the same time. And it provides high stability and high hash density for the rack environments. And the third one is L11 HU6. It's also a server-style miner, but it's pretty innovative. It's a model integrated air hydro solution, which combined with a 2U miner and a 4U CDU, which is the coolant distribution unit. It's ideal for the air-cooled data center and provide high hash rate and stability at the same time. As the owner of the mining farm do not need to invest a lot to upgrade their cooling system from the air cooling to the hydro cooling. Of course, it fits to the standard server racks. That's it for our L11 series products. And once you have any question about our mining products, feel free to ask me or ask our sales manager. Let's wrap up in 4 points. The first is Doge is a cultural POW asset with staying power. And the second one is mining is now an infrastructure business. The third one is the script mining means multi-revenue streams. And the fourth one, the match hardware to your facility type. The L11 series provides options for traditional farms, hydro-cooled data centers, air-cooled data centers. Choose based on your constraints. Yeah, that's it for today's keynotes. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Jimmy, for your wonderful speech, very informative. So our next speaker has made a profound impact on DogeCoin ecosystem as one of the co-developers maintaining and advancing the protocol. He plays a vital role in ensuring the network evolves with global demand. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mr. Patrick Lauder.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to be on the stage physically, but unfortunately, I couldn't make it. So I'm going to do this remotely. I hope I can bring my message across. I'm not going to talk to you about any technical things today, but more about how in a changing world we can just still do things. It doesn't have to be for gains. It doesn't have to make economic sense, but we can actually have something that maybe we should call financials with a U. Because after all, we're talking about DogeCoin. So if we look at the world right now, there's a lot of disruption like being promoted, and uncertainty is growing. And I think that the thing that could have the most impact on Doge isn't governments, regulators, like basically the things of the past decade. It's probably AI. So about a year ago, a narrative gained traction that we'd all lose our jobs. AGI is coming, we better prepare, like it's gonna take over everything. So I really wanted to know, like, what does that actually mean? And believe it or not, the thing about the currently very much hyped generative AI is that it, well, generates emails, documents, images, videos, and so on. But it also generates code. So I'm gonna try stay in my lane and focus on code, not so much the technical part of it, but I've basically heard two premises. So there's a bearish on humanity case that AI will do all coding, and just like in every other field, it will take everyone's job. We're all going to be on UBI. No more work ever. But there's also a more bullish case where it says like, okay, AI will help people with zero coding experience or little coding experience to actually build software. So I've tried to look at that, and I've tested all the tools like Copilot, Claude, Gemini, Cursor with OpenAI as a backend, with Claude as a backend, and so on, and tons of open source variants, open source tools, and many of them I had to test multiple times because it all moves like very fast, and basically like every, I would say, 2 weeks, there's something else that beats the previous guy. Like I think last month there was like one day that Grok was the best model. That's crazy. Anyway, so I'm not gonna bore you this entire presentation about everything I found because it's kind of boring. But what I've seen to date is that it would be really dishonest to say that either of these statements is false. Like it can be done, but there's a limit to it. And things improve so fast that what is true today doesn't have to be true tomorrow. Like anything that is currently not feasible will be feasible in maybe tomorrow. That's possible. So in short, like it works if you're coding something simple, like out of the box. It worked like that already, I would say 6 months ago, and today it works really well. And if you know what you're doing, it's even easier. But it doesn't have any high precision if you cannot guide it with high precision, right? So it's very hard to go from zero to hero on something complicated like protocol development, like the stuff that we do in DogeCon Core. It's actually hard. Also, it's C++, which is also hard. But if you're interfacing with something that already exists, you're going to run into trouble. If you build something from scratch, you only build it with an AI. It's actually, you can build cool stuff. So for the lack of precision, it is extremely, very, very fast. So for myself, I've always built like data pipelines. Like I extract data from the blockchain, I build an entire pipeline, I build some graphs, I try to analyze what's going on just to keep an eye on a network. And for this, it works really well for me. But again, that's a boring use case because most of the time nothing's going on, or at least nothing concerning is going on. So what does that mean for Doge, right? So I want to take a step back and look at like, at least how I see baseline DogeCon. Like what is it, right? So this year was the year of financial engineering. And we've seen this infinite money glitch from, Sailor and stuff. And it basically went into like a correction to show that this glitch doesn't really exist. And somehow there's been like, at least how it felt like to me, there's been like this reduction of fun. You know, things get more serious. We're all a little bit more stressed. It sucks. Because serious is like a chore, you know, like you don't always want to do that, especially not if you're like in your spare time on some social network having fun. So instead of engineering for like max gains based on glitches that, you know, stop existing as soon as you run out of greater fools, perhaps we have to engineer something else, and perhaps we have to engineer fun. And I know that sounds funny. So throughout the 12 years of Dogecoin history, the initiatives that basically had a fun element to it have resonated the most with the people, have gained the most traction. Purism, technical merit don't take the foreground. Like most of the work that I do, most people don't even know about that. And that's great. I mean, it's boring. But the fun does, right? And most people have fond memories about the fun we've had over the years. There's always like a positive thought to remember, even when, you know, right now you're seeing things a little bit more gloomy and you know, there's some negativity around you. So usage has always been more impactful than, you know, your balance. Like you can have 1 million Doge on in your wallet, but it doesn't help you feel good about it. And then what you're gonna do? Like, are you gonna wait until it goes down? Or are you gonna wait until it goes up? That's boring as well. So I remember hanging with some people like early 2021, who came from like the Wall Street Bets crowd, they were using Robinhood, and you know, their wow factor really came when they learned that you could actually transact Dogecoin. Like that was like an eye opener. Like you could tip people, you can entertain someone with a meme, and you can actually get tipped. And that was so different from everything that they did before, and participating in that culture and was like an eye opener to many of these people. And then you saw this push for Robinhood to actually enable Dogecoin as like on-chain Dogecoin. And that was amazing. Like there was so much pressure and it was crazy, but it was also at the same time, it was really fun. Like a lot of people had fun creating the most crazy memes to just, you know, push like Robinhood to enable it, and they did it in the end. So it was effective as well. So while you're having fun, you may even discover something that is serious and that is useful, you know, something that can help people. And that's like also what happened to the protocol by accident, because I've done some talks about this before. The protocol was supposed to die, and it didn't die. And because it didn't die, suddenly there was like value, and nowadays this value has exploded, and it's still around. It's still stable. But that wasn't the intent from the start. So it started as fun, and then, you know, as it moved on, we can take a little lesson from that, because we just had fun, and then there were some problems, and the problems needed to be solved. And that's where a lot of people that are involved in Dogecoin today came in to actually solve those problems, myself included. And people will step up when there's a need, like when something is important, and when there's like a serious use case, people will step up and try to help. Like you can count on them. Sorry, went the wrong direction. So if I look at the people around me, there are many ideas, and there's like I know so many people that have like these great ideas, and some people will have like a new idea every other day, but there's not no time to realize all these ideas. So we have to pick, but we'll have to pick it without being able to test, does this idea work? right? And maybe the idea can be a meme, and maybe nowadays you can, just generate that, or at least try it like that. But we have minimal time. And especially when it comes to fun, right? You're not going to hire a developer to basically implement your fun idea. That's not how it works. So either you're going to do it yourself, or you're going to find someone that wants to do it for you, probably for free. Because making a business case out of a fun idea is not going to attract a lot of money. But it's possible, and it's maybe even more possible because, like I just said, AI is very fast, and it may not have the best quality, but do you really need that if you're making a joke, if you're making something silly? Perhaps not. So is it possible? Can we use AI? Can we use it for coding? Can we actually have fun? And how do we see it right now being used in Dogecoin? So I'll go to a little fun thing. So if you have interacted with me on the Dogecoin Core GitHub repo this year, especially in the second half of this year, I would say there's probably an 80% chance that you've seen me being skeptical about AI pull requests. And it's 80% because I think that 80% of the pull requests that we're getting currently is AI generated. So that's why you see me about that much being skeptical. It's not because I don't believe in AI, but it's basically because it's just not ready yet to help at that level of complexity. Unless you're already capable of coding it by yourself, then you know what to say, what to check for before you bother someone else with the output. It's very iterative. So I've had some painful conversations, really painful ones. But on the other hand, a lot of repositories are right now changing their rules to say okay, no AI at all. They're preemptively banning it. And I think that that's not the right way to do it either. Yeah. So I've seen a pull request literally it wasn't signed off by Claude because somebody took credit for it, but it was literally deleting all the validation rules and add one rule for a policy change. I don't know how it got there, but that's the kind of stuff that we can't even have a real discussion about it. But we've also seen people getting help in understanding code, in understanding what's going on, in explaining things. And I think that as long as we have the decency to not copy and paste language model output to each other and middleman some bots, this could work. But then again, Dogecoin Core is kind of boring. So it's a serious thing. It's not really a fun thing anymore because we found the seriousness in it. So then what can we do? So even though the most successful use case we've seen is making sense of concepts and helping in analysis, this is still a weak use case, right? Because we're doing all of the heavy lifting, and it's just like an assistant, like the original Microsoft Copilot idea. But what if we could just do things? And what if we're actually talking about Dogecoin, so that as long as you integrate with the network or even don't, and you're not trying to create big changes on the baseline, you can actually just do things. You can. It's made for that. And I think you should. So thanks to AI, you no longer need to code for 6 months to test an idea. You can probably do it in a weekend or maybe 2. It's too bad that I'm so caught up in the serious side of things. But maybe if I'll get a free weekend somewhere, I'll just do it for myself, just for fun. It's a nice thing to do. And the most important thing to remember is that ultimately, like, whatever you put in there makes or breaks the output, right? So look at it as transformative. If you're a great writer and you just you like to write a story, you can have an AI augment your words and build an interactive story from it. Like build an app that walks you through it in apologies, in in a compelling way, and you can bring more fun to whatever you have just by experimentation. And if it doesn't work, who cares? It's for fun, so let's say that you do that and you're gonna vibe code. So vibe coding on its own, it's super fun. You basically tell some LLM what you want, and you execute it and you iterate through it and improve it and improve it and improve it. So the effort basically becomes arguing with a bot, which can be fun. It can also be really, really annoying. But it's something that you can like grow into. But since you can deliver something fast, and if you apply a sense of humor to what you're doing, then through minimal effort, you can deliver smiles, you can deliver laughter, and that's the best way to spend, like, free time. Like, whenever you can make someone laugh, that's awesome. So you basically can make the highest impact possible with relatively low effort. And there are frameworks for this, right? Many of the high performing ones, unfortunately, come at a price or have a very limited free tier. And like I said, you're not gonna hire someone to make your fun coding project. So you're not gonna save any money by spending money on a bot. But that's not like that doesn't have to be a problem. So there are open source and free variants. I've been able to run some setups even on a 5-year-old MacBook. You can have a basic setup, slower than a paid service, but still much faster than especially if you're not a coder, you could produce the code. You can take an inference runtime, you can add Goose, you can download different models from Hugging Face, and it's all for free. And basically what you get is you get a setup where you don't need to put like 3,000 Doge for a month of a developer's subscription, but you can just try things. You can just play with it, and this will help creating fun for yourself, but also, like, if you hit like a sweet joke, you can actually publish that and you will bring it over to other people. And using the tools that are there today, this is doable, right? So your curiosity is basically the limiting factor right now. So is there going to be like more fun in the future? And I think, well, I hope yes. I also think yes, because we just have to get back into that vibe, right? So we don't have to always talk about politics. We don't have to always talk about like world-ending events, but we can just chill sometimes. We can just make a joke, and we can put effort into that. And I think that's what's going to happen. So I'm sure you all remember Devs Do Something. You don't need to ask for permission. You don't need to ask for somebody else's time. You can simply make things. I can make things. You can make things. It doesn't matter what your skill is. Everybody can make things now. And we're extra empowered today to do in the digital world for now whatever we want. But a digital, making digital things is pretty awesome for an internet movement, because that's where Dogecoin exists. Yes, we have bridges to the physical world, and but most of all, it's an internet movement. Like it's people on the internet sharing a meme, and that works pretty well. So I couldn't help but mention that my colleague Chromatic wrote an actual book called 101 Dogecoin Tips, and it's like full of ideas and concepts that not only you can try that, and some of it is really suitable. Like I tried that. Some of it is really suitable for feeding to a bot and let it explain, like, okay, this is the things that you want to do. These are the steps. This is how you could solve A or B, without even having like too much knowledge about things. So I thought I'd share it because it's an awesome book. It really contains like ideas that will help you and will inspire you in any exploration. If you want to like make someone happy, yeah, there's like so much in there. So I thought I'd let it do, and I'm just gonna, if you want to scan it, because I'm gonna move to the next slide soon. And I can't see you, so. All right. Let's hope everybody made the slide or made the scan. So basically, Doge is what you make it, right? Like it is not what I do, what your wallet software provider does, what the government tells you to do, what the asset manufacturer does. It's really about what you do, like what everybody does as a whole, and everybody's a part of that. So, you're the one to make it great. You're the one to make it fun. So let's focus on the fun. Let's keep doing it. Let's have financials, and let's keep it silly. Speaking of silly, if you were wondering why I just watched like a long talk using the Doge trade meme and not Buff and Cheems, this is because thanks to AI, this contrast is now history, because Cheems is now Buff too. Cheems can also use an LLM and he'll be Buff. Many thanks to Arroyo13 for making this meme template. I think it's awesome, and I think you're all awesome. Thank you very, very much. And I think I can take questions. I'm not entirely sure. So let me know.
All right, any questions with Patrick? Okay, thank you, Patrick. Thank you for joining us online. All right, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we are moving on to our panel discussion. Obviously, we are at the crossroad of blockchain revolution, where new technology and new trends are emerging. Hold the panel. So first, please welcome our panelists. Please again welcome Mr. Carter, founder and CEO of Psy, Mr. Robinson, co-founder of World Health Foundation, Ms. Li Liu, president of Solana Foundation, and our lovely moderator, Miranda Ma, ecosystem manager of Bitmain. Please welcome to the stage.
Just give us a couple seconds. Our speakers are about to get ready and go on stage. enjoying DogeCon. We are ready for our next panel session. Give a warm applause for our host and guest. Woohoo!
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Hello. Okay, welcome everyone to our panel today. As you can see, our theme today is Bridging POW to POS, and we are so honored to welcome Lily, the president of Solana Foundation, and Carter Feldman, the CEO of Psy Protocol, and also Robinson from Wormhole. Like a round of applause, please. Thank you. And I'm Miranda Ma from Bitmain, and I represent the miners' perspective in this discussion. And I'm also very excited to talk with these amazing people in this field. So let's start with Lily. I know you have a really busy schedule this week, and thank you for making it here. This year's DogeCon wouldn't be possible without Solana's support. And would you like to share anything to this Doge and Solana community here?
Sure. So last year, I remember hearing about DogeCon at DevCon, which was in Bangkok. And at that time, I had already thought, we've got to get Doge onto Solana. And I was a dog on a bone about people within Solana. I said, like, who's organizing DogeCon? Who from Solana can go? Like, someone's got to go and figure out who to talk to, because we've got to get Doge onto Solana. And that is where we met Carter. That's where we met Tony. And that is where all of this started. And I think we've spent a lot of the last year. I think phase one, when you're building a community, when you're building a blockchain, is really focused on building Solana DeFi for Solana. That's never the end game. The end game is building native financial infrastructure for the internet, which would include all assets. And I think one of the things that we have also really prioritized within Solana is a sense of fun in the community. Like, finance doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be suits. It should not be suits. And it's something that should be available to anyone who wants to be using money in whatever form that might be. And so really for us a year ago, when we started to kind of move past phase one of building DeFi, then one of the first places we turned to was actually Doge and Bitcoin.
Yeah, thank you. And as a miner's perspective, I want to share a little bit more about this, because we are the host of this event. As you can see, there's a big main logo here. So why we emphasize Dogecoin's importance is because Dogecoin has a continuous reward flow for miners. So it won't halving, and so that miners can have a continuous revenue stream.
You build a community that then represents that value in part back in capital, that then helps kind of advance the community to the next stage. That's really the flywheel that is here. And I think that Doge is one of the earliest demonstrations of that. Where in the TradFi world, people always look at crypto and say, yes, but there's no fundamental value. But there is value in the idea that infrastructure is owned by the community. There is value in the fact that people want to build culture together, that people want to have fun together, that people want to build a community together and stay in that community and collectively go build that community. These are the types of things that have value. They might not be in the form of EBITDA, net income, price earnings, maybe not in that framework, but that's part of the experiment that I think we've been embarking upon over 15 years in crypto, this idea that, if you take as an assumption that money is a social construct, then social constructs, we call it community in other contexts, does have value. And so that is what I think is fundamental to this entire industry. And then the role that we as Solana play in that. And look, I come at this myself from having spent actually most of the 11 years that I've been in crypto in Bitcoin, is there are assets, there's infrastructure, and the role we play as Solana is to be that infrastructure for crypto native assets, for digital assets, to be a part of and find global liquidity.
Okay, thank you, Liddy. And the third question will be, wrapped Dogecoin is on the way. I think it's very close. It's already on testnet. And what do you think, what impact will it make on Solana and Dogecoin, and what are your expectations?
We would love to have, we just want to have a lot of fun with it, honestly. I think there's incredible things that you can do with that. And it's, having the asset on chain is just the beginning of it. It's another way that you can build a community around that. And so if we could have done all these things up until now, creating that sense of community, of fun around Doge the asset, if you can now collateralize Doge, if you can have Doge interact with other communities. We have a really fun kind of mascot of Solana. It's Bonk, and Bonk has its own culture around it. And I don't know. We'll figure out. We'll figure it out. But I think there's going to be really cool things to do. And who says that financial systems have to be boring? And I think that in crypto, what we've done, like all technologies, you take an experience that used to be sort of behind various levels of intermediation, because it had to be, and then we always talk about disruption, disintermediation, taking out the middle one, whatever, but it's because you can fundamentally have much more direct experiences. So in crypto, what is happening is we're taking consumer experiences and financializing them. We're also taking financial experiences and making them more directly consumer accessible. And so within that, there's just going to be new user experiences, there's going to be new UIs, there's going to be new concepts, product concepts, user experiences, and I don't know exactly what they're going to be, but what I do know is that consumer experiences fundamentally have to have emotion to them. And so when you look at something like a Bonk or a Doge, I think trying to look at it from a price value perspective kind of misses the point. It's like, this is where you actually have emotion, and this is where you can create consumer experiences out of that. In the same way, I don't think people would have been able to, sit in 1998 and think, social media is going to be exactly this way. But there is some sort of new primitive out there. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Okay, sounds really promising, I guess. I think everyone's pretty excited to see that day is coming. And so let's move forward to Carter. So as the founder of this DogeCon and also the founder of Sai, what's the origin story behind building on Doge, and what's the origin story behind making this DogeCon happen?
For sure. So first and foremost, I'm just a fan of Doge. I started off as a big fan of Doge. I loved how it kind of encapsulated the core community ethos of crypto in one very concentrated package, because it was originally just supposed to be a joke, right? It was made by a guy that doesn't like crypto, and it was a way to laugh at crypto. But then the crypto people were like, yes, you understand us.
The joke is on you.
And the joke is on you, right? So that's always been appealing. And then Dogecoin has always lacked a lot of developers. So I'm the first person to write a JavaScript SDK for Doge that supports encoding Dogecoin addresses and Dogecoin transactions correctly. We built the first and I think still the only open source block explorer for Doge. So I've started building out some of these more kind of core components. I got in touch with Patrick and some of the other core development team. And yeah, it's I'm a fan. That's why I'm involved with Doge. We started DogeCon because Dogecoin has, we think, in addition to Solana, of course, one of the best online communities in the world. Not just in crypto, just in general. But there wasn't really a big conference that can unite all of those wonderful fans in one roof. And the connections you make in person can be more special and sometimes longer lasting than those online. So it's there isn't a venue for this. We should just make it. And yeah, and we did. So that's why there's DogeCon.
Thank
for
you
all of you.
Thank you for putting this together for this Doge community, and thank everyone for joining. And so next question will be for Rob. And as one of the largest bridging networks, Wormhole serves as a really important role in this area. So what do you think Doge bringing to the Solana will be having any impact? And what's the strategic reasoning behind supporting it?
Yeah. Breakpoint is, I think, special for Wormhole in particular. We actually got our start connecting Ethereum and Solana way back in the day at this point. And we hold the namesake for the first Solana hackathon. It was the Solana and Wormhole hackathon. So this is a really unique event for us because we have Solana, which we've been a long-time partner and supporter of, and also, of course, Doge, who we've been working a lot with over the past year since Lily told kind of the story of how she wanted to get this done, and it kind of kicked off a lot of this technical work, which I'm sure Carter will get into and we can get into in a little bit more. So for us, I think this is just a culmination of a lot of these things, and we see our role. I think we throw the term bridge around a lot. And you can break that down technically, but we see our role a lot of times, especially as it pertains to Doge and Solana, but in particular Solana, as an asset issuer. So any asset that is not native to Solana, we can kind of come in and help issue that asset in a number of different ways, but issue that asset on Solana. And if you think about a lot of, I think what Lily said today, but just the general idea of Solana being internet capital markets or the financialized internet, we want everything to be traded on Solana. I think that's like a high level goal. And so Doge, not only for kind of the fun community aspect of it, but also for the size of the asset, it's substantial. Having that being able to be traded on one of if not the best blockchain experience or blockchains to provide DeFi experiences, I think just makes a lot of sense. And so yes, we are a bridge at our core, but a lot of what we do is we say, hey, where should we have maybe assets that aren't tradable on Solana today? How can we make them tradable on Solana? And Doge has been kind of the one we've been working on for a while. And I think it's a little bit different than some other chains that we've connected to. There's some technical complexity that our team and Carter have been working on a lot. But I think what's exciting is that once we officially launch this on mainnet, we'll be able to replicate this issuance strategy across a lot of these proof of work chains. And why that's important or why that's exciting is, if you think about the best assets to be maybe traded on Solana, if you go to CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, whichever one you use, and you look at the top 50, there's a good amount of those that are proof of work chains. And so if we can replicate this process, we can bring more assets to Solana. But yeah, I think it's kind of this cool culmination of the two.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up the POW chains. Those are like all time forgiven by a lot of the community. And I think as this proceed, it will set a strong precedent for other POW coins, as you said. And so another question is for Carter and Rob. Are there any challenges when building this bridge? Would you mind share some behind
Carter,
stories?
Zero challenges you've had, right?
So the thing is, DogeCoin doesn't support smart contracts, right? So it's not super trivial to verify what's going on Solana. So let's say we want to bridge back. Solana has to send kind of a message or say something, hey, we've burned your wrapped or your P-Doge on Solana and I want to get it back on DogeCoin. It's very difficult to have that communication. Yeah. The solution is that we verify every single Doge block in a Solana program. And we did this about a year ago. It's great. It definitely was difficult. There's not many Oxpo implementations that were available in no STD Rust. But the real challenge I think was more on perfecting the bridge user experience. So we've got it to a place now where you connect your wallet with Solana. So you connect Phantom or Solflare or whatever. It generates a deposit address. You go to Binance. You paste that address in. You type the amount you want to withdraw, you withdraw from Binance, and it magically ends up on Solana. So getting that user experience to be trustless and to be resistant to North Korea hacking us. I don't know if anyone joined our talk earlier, but we discussed we're resistant against North Korea hacking the bridge data center being destroyed by a missile strike, or our entire team being kidnapped by Somali pirates, right? Getting that user experience and still having those security protections was very difficult. But we are here to, our mission. The reason why we're interested in this, frankly, is we want users to offboard from centralized exchanges and custody their own Dogecoin, and what better place to do that than Solana? So yeah, there's a lot of challenges, but it's all worth it, right?
Yeah. And if I may toot Carter's horn a little bit here, I think the actual implementation is quite technically complex. And we talk a lot about this idea of trustlessness. And when you think about the way in which you're verifying, Doge, for instance, you're using a ZKP or a zero knowledge proof. And trust is definitely a spectrum in crypto, right? We have certain people that will say you need max decentralization, right? But you're at the end of the day, that could be a large validator set. Maybe it's permissionless, very geographically distributed, et cetera, et cetera. That's pretty trustless. I think we've come a little bit along the way of compromising on that in some ways, right? I think today you'll see some chains that will have 10 validators, you'll see 20 validators. They may be more of a proof of authority, and we know the validators, but there's still a few of them. You move towards this direction, I think, when I think about trustless, you go from trusting maybe some entities or people, it can be a lot or a little, to trusting largely math in some ways. And so it's really, I think, one of the more secure implementations of verifying the state of a blockchain that we've seen. And we Wormhole, for any transaction we do across all blockchains, whether it's Doge or Solana, we need to verify the state. But and we have I would say, and Carter, keep me honest here, but the Guardian network is probably at scale one of the most decentralized attestation ways in which to attest to state. But the scale of ZKPs across these other chains is kind of the end state or end goal. And so this implementation between Doge and Solana is not only going to be great to be able to trade Doge on Solana, it is like this kind of very trustless implementation that I think touches on a lot of the ethos of crypto.
Wow. Yeah, sounds really promising. And also, would Carter mind sharing a little bit about ZK components in this bridge or innovation?
For sure. So one part of it is verifying every Dogecoin block on a Solana program, which you have to do in a ZKP. You can't. The programs in Solana don't have enough memory to do the script hash, which is like the ASIC resistant hash that Dogecoin uses. But I think the more complicated part that we did do in ZK circuits was enabling that user experience where the bridge can auto-claim a deposit for you. So you just deposit into the bridge and it shows up in your Solana wallet. Getting that UX to work while still being trustless means that we need to maintain like a tree or some kind of store that's cryptographically verifiable that indicates what outputs of every single transaction and every single Dogecoin block have been claimed by the bridge, so that if the bridge server is hit by a missile strike, then you can still manually claim your Dogecoins that you deposit. But for 99% of users, the experience is I just withdraw to Solana and it just shows up in my account. So getting those UX sort of finities right is quite difficult. We also use Solana for all of our data attestation and for our data availability. So if our bridge server was hit again with a missile or attacked in some way or exploded or set on fire, we can actually reconstruct the entire state of the database by running a Solana archive node. And this is only possible because, again, we've developed some rather clever ways to, in the most optimized way possible, be able to verify large batches of deposits from Dogecoin and also process Solana withdrawals without having to run a full Solana Lite client. But we did it, and we're ready. So we're very excited to get going. I think, do we have maybe February or something? So guys, stay tuned. It's coming. It's going to be very exciting.
And I think the technical piece of this is also important too, because when you think about the way a lot of asset issuers might issue something on any blockchain, let's say Solana, there's maybe decentralized, especially if they're non-native to Solana, there's maybe decentralized assets, right? Maybe they're bridged over by Wormhole. You have the Guardian network verify it exists or was maybe started on Ethereum and now it's on Solana, or more recently started on Monad and is now on Solana, which was a crazy launch. Come find me after. A lot of holders on Solana, which is really great for both teams there. But I think the trustless design here is important because you'll get a lot of asset issuers that essentially will just recreate a centralized version of an asset. So they'll custody that asset one-to-one in a centralized custody platform, and then they'll issue something against it. So yes, it's one-to-one backed, but your asset is effectively controlled, or you're trusting the custodian here. And I think because of the nature of Doge, because of how long it's been around, it really aligns more with the POW, the Bitcoin ethos, if you will. And so this implementation is, it's very much so like a native asset on Solana is kind of what I'm getting after, because it is trustless. There isn't like one single party in control. And to me, that's what I think is super exciting. Yes. Hopefully, we're targeting February, so fingers crossed.
All right, so guys, get set, get ready.
Stay tuned. And also, what's the Wormhole's tech stack during this process?
Yeah, so Wormhole helps with any bridge. There's bi-directional aspect, of course. Wormhole is helping with going from Solana, and Carter mentioned this, from Solana back to Doge. And what we're actually building was net new. It's this threshold signature scheme. But essentially, like, why that's exciting, and it's exciting for Doge because it's going to help us launch Doge. But to speak to Solana for a second, is that you'll be able to trade all of these proof of work assets that have largely existed on an island for a very long time on Solana, and that gets me really excited, right? Like, let's think like a Litecoin, obviously a Doge, maybe a native Bitcoin, right? A lot of the Bitcoins you see on Solana, which aren't bad, it's just whatever the user wants. There's maybe like a CBBTC or WBTC or these other flavors that have some sort of central custodian behind them. I think there's going to be users that want both of them, but this helps us unlock connecting to these other chains that have ultimately lived on islands. And there's a lot of chains like that. It's not just for the fact that they're proof of work and have no smart contract environment, but like another good example is maybe like an XRPL and a Cardano and these things. These are big assets that should be traded on Solana.
Okay, the last question is for the three of you guys. So the last question would be, what does the rollout will be like once it's alive? But please give.
Oh, sorry. Can you say it one more time?
What's the rollout will be like once this is live? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I can start. So we've recently, there's been a few big asset launches on Solana that we've been a part of, and it's been really interesting to see the difference in them. And I have two kind of case studies very recently. We have Hype, which we launched on Solana, and we have Mon, which we launched. And these learnings play into Doge, which I think I'm actually glad Doge is coming after them, because we can ensure the most success. Hype, we launched first. It did well. A lot of people were, they really wanted it. They wanted to trade it on Solana. I don't know the exact stats, but I think you probably has like 15, 20 mil TVL, a decent amount of volume, nothing crazy. Fast forward like a month later, with Monad and Mon, I think it helped bring Solana to, for Monad in particular, eclipsing a lot of centralized exchanges as a trading venue. At one point, I think it was like 4th across all decentralized and centralized trading exchanges, which is crazy. It added 8,000 holders for Mon, the token, on Solana, which is just really exciting for all parties, right? If you think about the asset issuer increasing their TAM, think about Solana increasing the activity on the network. And I think the main differentiator was actually the Solana support. Hype had Solana support, of course, but I think a lot of the ecosystem teams involved, the DeFi teams in Solana, also the foundation, getting behind Monad in that launch really made all the difference to where that launch was exceptional in terms of its success, especially when you compare it to Hype. And so as we go into the Doge launch, I think making sure all the DeFi platforms are lined up. I know there's probably a lot of Doge miners in this room, so making sure miners are ready to bring liquidity over and use it in DeFi, making sure Solana Foundation's behind it, making sure obviously the tech works well, the experience is good in terms of onboarding for centralized exchanges. All these little pieces are really, really important. You can't just launch the asset and say, I hope it does well. And so really being really intentional, being very checkbox focused on the launch, I think is what is going to help it be successful.
I mean, I have to say, the majority of people that hold Dogecoin hold it on a centralized exchange. If we can get those people, maybe half, maybe a quarter, to come to Solana, we're talking about like billions of dollars coming in, being accessible, being usable for DeFi for the first time. Because again, Doge is a proof of work currency. So if you hold Doge, there's inflation on Doge, but there's no way to earn yield. So you need yield to ensure your Doge position is not, going to decrease in value over time.
Yeah.
So I think the rollout is going to be huge. We want to make it both consumer and miner centric. Frankly, we've talked to a lot of big miners, and a lot of big miners are very wary about giving their crypto to anyone else.
Yeah.
These folks are very much not my keys, not my crypto kind of people, right?
Yeah, that's
you know
true.
better
Yeah,
than I do. So Miranda knows all these miners. Am I
Yeah.
speaking the truth?
Yeah.
Which is why the trustless implementation
Right.
is important. It's important.
And I think we've won over a lot of these folks' hearts and minds because, again, with the work that we did with the bridge, they don't have to trust me. With other of these centralized custodian kind of folks, it's like, maybe they're nice people, but if someone's like, I'm going to chop off your finger unless you give me the funds of your bridge, which, happened to someone at some point, right? Maybe they would prefer their finger than your funds. So, the miners don't have to trust me. They don't really have to trust you. They may have to trust some of your guardians, we'll be honest, right? But because of that, I think we're going to see very large inflows. And again, for us, it's not so much about the amount of money or whatever, although I think it's going to be substantial. For us, it's more about bringing that Doge community into the blockchain community. Because right now, those folks, they hold funds on the centralized exchange. They've speculated, but some of them have never used DeFi. Some of them have never used an app. Some of them have never used Solana. And hopefully, and I think we will be successful, hopefully we'll change that.
I also think that we get this question a lot as to why do assets want to be in DeFi? And I think one of the reasons is because an asset inherently will have some value and or at least price. But when assets are more useful, they actually do become more valuable because you're more likely to hold it. And so the way, to your point, most of Doge is held on centralized exchanges today. And if you want to expand the utility of those assets, you've got to go ask the exchange nicely. So much of our industry is based around asking someone at an exchange nicely. And fuck the exchange. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But then it is, an interesting question as to, hey, this is a whole permissionless ecosystem. Why is it that if I want to have lending against Dogecoin, you got to go ask someone nicely. If I want to have perps for Dogecoin, you got to go ask someone nicely. If I want to use this as a collateral asset in really funky ways that we can't really imagine quite yet, I want to have vault of Doge and Bonk and SHIB and Pepe or whatever else, you've got to kind of go ask someone else to go build that product. And the whole idea of DeFi is anyone can go build that product and see if there's an audience, a market, demand for it. And so one of the things we want to also see happen with Solana DeFi is all of the primitives that people use today. There's obviously spot and perps and lend borrow. Structured products, options on chain are now coming as well. Prediction markets clearly. This whole range of, and then vaults increasingly, and vaults used in so many different ways. So increasingly this range of kind of financial primitives should be at the fingertips of any asset, any user, and any developer such that you don't have to go ask someone, hey, can I use Doge in this primitive or that primitive? You can just do it, right? If you want to build prediction markets around Doge, and I don't know, you will know better than I, like what are the infinite permutations around that, it can just happen.
Absolutely. Does anyone here have any Dogecoin? Any Dogecoin holders out there? Yeah.
Wow.
So, who's going to be bridging some of that Dogecoin to interact with Solana?
Live
launch?
peer pressure.
Let's go! Yeah, that's a lot of hands.
Let's go.
I love it.
I love it. Yeah. Okay. So thank you all for your time, and let's wrap up here. Thank you all our dear guests for this great input. And as a miner, I truly learned a lot, and I believe we will help you educate the miner side.
Let's go. And I want to also say, as the host of DogeCon, thank you so much to Bitmain, the giant of proof of work, and Solana, the giant of proof of stake, for coming together for this wonderful panel. We're better together, and thank you guys so much for your support.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Frederick. Thank you.
It's so nice.
That was awesome.
Let's go.
All right, thank you guys. I'm sure everyone could notice one big trend in crypto. That is, ecosystems are starting to work together. Projects are not building alone anymore. They are always trying to find ways to connect and create real utility. So what happens when Dogecoin meets with Solana? Let's take this question and hold our second panel. Please warmly welcome to the stage our panelists, Mr. Jordan, co-founder and CEO of DogeOS, and Jeff Liu, CEO of Solea, Stefan, founder of Metaplex, and Mr. Rahul, head of DevRel Zone. And also welcome to the stage our lovely moderator, Pedro Miranda, head of Consumer Solana Foundation. Please welcome, guys. Thank you.
Hi everyone, please take a minute while we put on all the mics on our next speakers. I hope you are enjoying DogeCon and we'll see you in a minute. Hi everyone, here they are. Give them a warm applause. Our speakers. Go, 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 go. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, what's up?
Dude, good to meet in person.
Hey. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here. My name is Pedro Miranda. I formerly run all things consumer at the Solana Foundation, or as I like to say, I work on all the fun things, including all things Dogecoin, hopefully very soon. Let me just take the time first to let these amazing speakers introduce themselves. So, Jordan.
Sure. Hey guys, Jordan Jefferson. I'm founder and CEO of MyDoge, the #1 Dogecoin app, self-custody mobile wallet, and the soon-to-be-launched DogeOS app layer for Dogecoin.
Hi everyone, I'm Steven. I'm the founder of Metaplex. We're the standard for creating and launching tokens and NFTs on Solana. 20 million tokens, over 900 million NFTs. Excited to be here.
Hey everyone, Rahul here. I'm DevRel at Soon. We are building high-performance roll-up infrastructure for Solana and all the SVM chains, right? So we have done more than 60 million transactions till now, and recently we are focusing more on the application side with X402 and other stuff.
So we have an eclectic group of builders here, and the topic obviously is Doge, given we're here at DogeCon. I'm curious, what are you most excited about when you hear that Dogecoin is coming to Solana, and then how are you guys planning to integrate it respectively in your protocols? I know obviously DogeOS, Doge in the name, would love to understand what you guys are doing and how you're utilizing Doge.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the Dogecoin community, the core belief and goal for a lot of people is that Dogecoin is money and it can become the currency of Earth and Mars and beyond. And at this point in time, Doge is not represented in the world's financial infrastructure very much. And so although the Doge community is like, look, it is money, we're all using it, I look at what is the financial infrastructure of the future, and you look around and Doge is not represented. It's not really being used as money. It's being used as an asset that's traded, but not as money itself. And so I think it's, our mission, and I know your guys' mission, Carter's mission, is very much to kind of further that and make it more used as money. If Dogecoin is really money, it should be being transacted anywhere and everywhere. And so that's one of the reasons that we're building kind of native Doge infrastructure, is to just enable more interoperability with other blockchains, other ecosystems, other protocols. I think it's, from my perspective, the biggest or one of the biggest opportunities in all of crypto right now is that Dogecoin is, the biggest IP, one of the biggest IPs at least. It's, today, $20-something billion market cap. Tomorrow it could be 100 billion. That just sitting there, mostly sitting idle, or even worse, just being traded on exchanges and sort of like suppressing the community's goals is, a huge opportunity, but it's also really important for the mission of Dogecoin itself. And so, what excites me is just seeing the proliferation of Dogecoin as money and not necessarily just a speculative asset on exchange. Yeah.
Steven? So, yeah, as he was saying, Dogecoin being like a non-sovereign type of money, similar to Bitcoin, is actually really complementary with networks like Solana that provide decentralized trading. And so I remember buying Dogecoin, on BTCE, and at that point, it's like you're just taking the leap of faith that whoever's running these exchange sites is actually providing the right security, but it's all permissioned, it's all centralized. And so I think the opportunity for Solana is to be the global market for every asset, and assets like Dogecoin I think are a really important part of that story, and ultimately that allows us to build towards not just decentralized money, but decentralized finance with these systems complementing each other. So, as a tokenization platform for Solana, we're really excited to see the collaboration between these different networks, understanding that we're all playing a different role ultimately in building this new economy.
Yeah, I think like both of the speakers mentioned that this Dogecoin has a very good community, right? And Solana has one of the best consumer applications, DeFi applications. So bringing both of them together, bringing Dogecoin over to Solana, giving it a consumer-friendly applications to use actually in the DeFi for yields or any other consumer applications for actually adding a value to the token and the community as well. Sitting on particular one chain like Dogecoin for the Doge chain and bring it to the Solana to adding a new features, new application layer. So I think that will give a lot of value to the users and the community as well, where you can actually use this asset in the real time in real applications. So I think, yeah, consumer applications and the user-focused apps will be the major thing for Solana and Dogecoin.
Jordan, I am curious what the state of the Doge union is right now. Oftentimes, we're in various echo chambers, right? Whether it be Solana or even Doge on the proof of work side. But I'm curious if you could give a short state of the world of the Doge community and the ecosystem and what opportunities you see fit. And Doge bridging to Solana, the increased velocity, what use cases that you're excited about as an early Dogecoin builder?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's sort of two buckets of kind of like opportunity, and one is much more financial. I mean, Doge exposure throughout DeFi, on Solana, et cetera, creating yield opportunities. That's really exciting to a subset of the community and to funds, asset managers, whales, miners, anyone who's looking to put their Doge to use. But I think the unique thing about the Dogecoin community is that it's very consumer and not necessarily Solana consumer in that they're Web3 consumers. It's like consumer in that they're not really into Web3 yet. They've just sort of dabbled in Dogecoin. And so I think what they're really looking for is like fun and excitement. I think the fun of watching the price go up and down, I mean, it's been like over 10 years of that. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not fun, right? And so I think the community, like the thing that will get the actual like Doge retail community most excited is just, new, fun, exciting opportunities. I think especially for a lot of people, they might not have that much Dogecoin, but there's a lot of people who have a little, right? And so, okay, DeFi is like maybe interesting to them, sure, but what's more interesting is like something crazy and exciting. So I think, Solana is a good ecosystem for that because you do have probably more kind of consumer than any other ecosystem. I think it's like it's a good culture match and yeah, a chance to get everyone hyped up.
That's interesting. That's a cool answer. Yeah, the fun use cases, but also DeFi are very complementary to each other, I would say. Steven, as a Solana OG, understanding Solana's culture and obviously the tech and the primitives that it offers, I am curious about your answer to that. What opportunities does does Solana unlock for the Dogecoin communities, and maybe what are the crazy, as Jordan put it, use cases that you're potentially excited about?
So there probably are two ends to this. On one side, you have the ability to monetize your Doge by being an LP provider and the trading of Doge, which gives people access to yield and new revenue sources. But then there are obviously people that are just holding Doge because it's fun and like they want to see it being used as a currency in games or social experiences, or being able to launch your token and actually do that sale in Doge. And so with Metaplex, all of our smart contracts are composable for any SPL token. So in effect, anything that you can do on Solana today with Sol in terms of DeFi or gaming can be done with Doge, and including payments as well. And so I think as those assets come on chain, like instead of launching new tokens, we'll see people leaning into using these existing forms of non-sovereign money. And obviously, like Solana loves meme coins, like it's and Doge is the Doge father of meme coins. And so I think there's a lot of like spiritual connectedness between our ecosystems that I think will be really fun to see play out.
That's interesting. I was just wondering, in my head is Doge a meme coin, or is it kind of transcended into this social token or cultural coin? Right, that is known in the mainstream outside of crypto, and how it's interesting, right? Like on one end of the spectrum, you have mainstream adoption. People get their Doge on centralized exchanges, but then on the other hand, utilizing Solana, you have the ability to actually monetize your Doge and maybe do things that are more high velocity with those assets, and then also focusing on asset utilization is an interesting point instead of asset issuance, which I think a lot of times ecosystems focus a ton on.
For sure. Yeah, like for a new game, being able to just use Doge as the in-game currency probably makes a lot more sense in the early stages than trying to launch your own token out the gate. So it could also be a starting point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a way. In some ways, it's following the other dog on Solana, which is Bonk, right? Utilizing a token, whether it be Bongpot or other ecosystems, Moonwalk, other games like Moonwalk, to actually bootstrap your community and your user base with a pre-existing token is an interesting point. Raul, I'm curious on your end, what are the crazy use cases that you're most excited about for Doge to bridge on Solana and other high-performant chains that you're excited about?
I think what I'm excited about Dogecoin being able to like trade it on Solana is having it available on all the different cool and exciting new use cases. So with the Bonk, right, on Solana we have Bonk, and through Bonk we have a lot of different applications. Like we have this Chomp. Chomp is a gaming platform on Solana which uses Bonk itself in the app, so where users can use Bonk token to play the games and stuff. So these kind of experiments with existing tokens will give a value as well, plus new experiments as well. So X402 opens a lot of new ways for developers to build something which actually does not have to directly interact with the blockchain, but servers can do stuff for the developers and the users, where merchants and client can also use. So in these kind of use cases where actually you can use existing tokens, where Doge or Bonk, both of the culture coins are, I'm not sure we should call it a meme coin or not. I think we should call it a culture coin because everyone is using it now. Everyone is thinking it about as a real money, but not a shit coin. So yeah, I think new use cases and experiments will give a lot of value to the community as well and to the token itself as well.
That's interesting. I've been thinking about Doge, or I've been thinking about where the net new consumers in crypto are going to come from a lot. And the simple answer is obviously centralized exchanges. Those are the net new buyers of crypto and ultimately the consumers of crypto. But I've been thinking about that flow a lot, how that evolution comes from someone to graduate from a centralized exchange to on-chain to DeFi. And I genuinely think Doge is potentially that avenue, right, to get on-chain and to actually utilize that. But I am curious for y'all's experience in terms of if you think Dogecoin is this notion that people are going to use it to get on-chain and onboard to a self-custodial wallet, or if you think if people are going to have it sit on centralized exchanges.
I mean, that's the big challenge. Like, what is enticing enough to bring a user off exchange, right? I mean, we have 500,000 users using our self-custody wallet. So there are Dogecoin users that believe in kind of the original crypto ethos, believe in self-custody, decentralization. But there are probably tens of millions of Dogecoin holders across the world, most of that being on exchange. And so how do you go from capturing that first 500,000 to getting the rest of them? I think my thesis is really something, either a clear financial motivation that you can earn a lot of money by bringing your Doge on chain and earn more Doge, or it's got to be something so fun, something viral, some use case that you need Doge to take part in, and you really want to do it. So those are the kind of things that we're either building or trying to find people building and work together with. But I can say definitively that yes, Dogecoin is a huge Web 2 to Web 3 funnel. A lot of our users, it's their only cryptocurrency or it's their first cryptocurrency. And some of them have been holding it for years and years and years and have not still dabbled into Web 3 or other assets. And so kind of activating them with something really cool and exciting, I think is kind of the path. But it's like a steady flow. Like Doge onboards normies into crypto every single day organically. Sometimes more, sometimes less. When it's in the news, like election time, Elon does something crazy, we see a crazy amount of organic traffic and it's new people to crypto. When nothing's happening, there's still a trickle of new consumers coming on board. So I can definitely validate that.
I would love to highlight that point around what do you think are the incentives or what specific, whether it be a product or specific, you mentioned financial motivations. Is it an earn product? Is it Doge Earn, right, on your app? Or is it something more mimetic and fun for the users to do? Because I think there are a lot of, not only retail buyers, but there are a lot of developers as well who'd be extremely interested in building Doge-related applications. And I think almost like a request for apps, Doge-related apps is something that I'm actually really excited about. So I am curious around do you think, what specific set of apps or opportunities should developers build towards? Similar to the Bonk model, but while Bonk was more so bottoms up, launched in the depths of a bear market, Doge has been around. Doge has been battle tested, has been resilient. So I'm curious around what apps and what opportunities you think developers should be building towards.
Yeah, that's a good question. And the Bonk, we talked about Bonk a lot. I wanted to add, I think, let's say you had Doge on Solana back when Bonk launched, likely those holders would have received a Bonk airdrop. I mean, Bonk was kind of a legendary airdrop. So I think that's a good example of, what would, the potential that this would bring to Solana. Now you can actually target, the biggest kind of meme community in all of crypto in an on-chain way. I think that, yes, there's value in an earn product. Yes, we are building that into our wallet. Yes, normal people want to earn interest on their money as it sits there. I'm not sure that that's exciting enough of a funnel to capture all the users that we want, but it's a great thing. I mean, we do see we kind of see our Dogecoin wallet as really being more like a Revolut or something than a crypto wallet, because that's the type of user they just expect a normal financial application. They don't really understand on chain yet. But I think it's my thesis on activating the rest of them, what type of applications to build. I think for one, it sort of has to be you have to build something special to Dogecoin and the Dogecoin community, because they can already use Solana, they can already use Base, and they're not doing it, right? And so that asset being represented there will capture one chunk of it, and certainly the financial angle, DeFi, etc. How do we activate all those quiet holders on exchange? I think it has to be an experience that you can only take part in with Dogecoin or something special like that. It could be the next great viral game and Doge has a special place in it. It could be I don't know, something we've never thought of, but I think it's I think it's a big opportunity but a big challenge. I don't have the silver bullet, or maybe we do, and everyone will use one of the cool things building our ecosystem, but I think it's got to be that. Like that's a goal, right? We want to get all the consumers. We want these normies that have never come on chain despite dabbling in crypto by holding an asset on exchange to like finally participate. And hopefully the thing that drives them isn't like all the exchanges collapsing. Hopefully it's like we've actually incentivized them with something, you know, really fun.
Stephen, you mentioned before, it's very relevant to what Jordan was saying in terms of the Revolut example. And I know you also have a love for consumer products, right? So if you were designing an RFP for builders to build and develop using Dogecoin, you know, what would your wish list be?
Well, I think it actually looks very similar to the Metaplex program library. It's the ability to create, build, sell, and use digital assets on chain. And I do think that, you know, I spent a lot of time thinking about, you look at meme coins or culture coins, and you ask yourself, like, what is fundamentally happening? And ultimately, it's, you know, these tokens are representing digitally native communities. And we're very early in this transition from centralized systems to decentralized systems. Like this year was the first year that DEX trading reached 10% of total volume. Like we're incredibly early. And so I think if there is a groundswell of momentum to move from those centralized venues to decentralized networks and systems like Solana, it will come from a community perspective and part of the values and ethos of that community, which is you can stand on your own, it's permissionless, like it's just us and, you know, the internet and data that's sitting in between our connection. And I remember that's what got me excited about Dogecoin in the very beginning, is like being in the BTCE troll box, like buying Dogecoin, like memeing with friends, and being in a community of people that similarly see that vision, even if it's still very nascent, and having fun as you then, you know, push into that new ground. And I think, you know, a lot of new technology, like it starts as toys, it looks trivial, you know, it's jokes, it's memes, but that is like the exuberance, it's like the community excitement for the bigger vision that then, you know, allows us to be in a place where we're talking about equity tokenization and IP tokenization and commodities and Forex markets on chain. And so, you know, I think Dogecoin and the Dogecoin community can play a really important role in that transition by like holding the banner for why we're here. Like we're here for non-sovereign money and decentralized finance. So why are we holding our tokens on centralized databases owned by large US corporations or on like corporate chains that like masquerade as decentralized systems? And I think Solana really provides that alternative. And so like I'm excited to see what happens. Like I think, you know, that community is the strongest, the oldest, the most OG crypto native community. And like, memes have like real power in pushing forward that technology and then creating the stage for then like larger pools of capital and assets to then make their way on those systems. Like we're here, we're like, these systems are battle tested, they're bulletproof, the contracts are audited, like there's nothing really holding us back from making that leap. And sometimes you need a community or a good meme to like sort of challenge how people think about things and like what's possible.
Yeah. I very much believe in the horseshoe theory of everything, right? That, you know, the fun or the left curve is always, you know, has a similar consensus view to the right curve. And in this case, it's the foundation of fun, of culture, sets the foundation or the basis for the serious, quote unquote, economy that we're bringing on chain. And that's also why I asked about the centralized exchange to decentralized exchange flow, because Doge as an onboarding mechanism, as a fun asset, is teaching about, you know, self-sovereign money, digital ownership, decentralization, in a way that someone in traditional finance, I would argue, could not explain, you know, better than buying Doge and utilizing it in a succinct way. So, Stephen, you want a Doge program library? That's what you're talking about.
You can build with it. Like, let's get tokenized Doge on chain and let's build for sure.
And Raul, I'm curious your experience on the developer relations side. I asked for a wish list of experiences, of apps to developers who are interested in utilizing Doge and building those types of experiences. What would be on your wish list for Doge-related apps?
I think what I would suggest to developers to build is something which gets, like eyes of users. So something maybe something in the trading platforms or maybe something in the prediction markets. So because currently Kalshi and DFlow has, like their APIs for developers to actually build something out of Kalshi plus DFlow on Solana. So getting this together with Dogecoin and maybe adding some kind of prediction market with perpetuals as well. So those kind of consumer applications where users actually can make some profit or generate some kind of return for their value. I think those kind of application what I would suggest for them, for the developers to build, because we have seen a lot of these kind of applications have gone from 0 to 100 on Solana, like Bags application, or maybe Time.Fun is a good example where users can actually use their funds to talk to the founders, right? So those kind of consumer applications where users and the community both can work together to build something, and developers can actually like fill this gap by building those kind of applications. So I would suggest developers to build something which is like speculative or maybe something in the prediction markets.
Yeah, I believe through DFlow now on Solana that you can access all Kalshi markets tokenized, and then you could also bet on Kalshi markets or invest in Kalshi markets hypothetically with any SPL token, including Doge, right? So I think something in blockchain that we don't consider is that you can actually target users specifically with their social graph, i.e. with their assets, with their actions on chain. So you could hypothetically have prediction markets where you either get a bonus, a rebate, or some reward for actually utilizing Doge to actually place a bet on a Dogecoin price market or an Elon Musk Doge mention market, right? Like those types of viral niches, I think we're going to see the most growth, especially with the intersection of Solana bringing Kalshi on chain and also Doge bringing this net new culture on chain. We might have time for one or two more questions. So I do want to be more pragmatic instead of fun, and I want to talk about challenges, where you see roadblocks in terms of intersecting these two worlds together. Obviously, this is Doge being a proof of work chain and ultimately token coming to next gen proof of stake network. I am curious if you guys foresee any challenges either on the technical side or on the community side when trying to bring these two communities and groups together.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are, I can tell you there are challenges with some subset of the community. I mean, there was a lot of pushback to bridging Doge to Ethereum back in the day because a lot of Doge people are proof of work maxis and they see a lot of the value not in just the token but the chain itself, right? And so it's maybe not everyone, but it's like something to contend with. I think it's somewhat mitigated by how much you can convince them of to trust in math, as Carter would say, but. I think that sort of comes down to, education and trust. I mean, there's always going to be, I guess, a maxi that is, never going to take their Doge off of Doge L1. That's just like, I wouldn't say it's 100% of the community. It's just something to contend with. I think beyond that, it's more just the broader challenge of, getting someone to activate their Doge, period. I think it's not necessarily unique to this, but it's kind of like what we've been talking about. I mean, what drives the user to finally... they've never withdrawn from the exchange before. What makes them do it? I think that's the biggest challenge of all. The rest is sort of, taken care of by, education and trust, basically.
Yeah, to me, I mean, just going back to this question of what moves the needle, I've been thinking if it's an APY question, right? Like, paying a user enough to move their assets, or if it's a cultural, fun call to action. I don't know. I don't know if anyone has the right answer. I think we've been trying to play with incentives for a while in this industry. So I think only time will tell there.
Yeah. And you can't pay forever. You can only pay to get them there, and then either natural yield keeps them, or they discover other opportunities, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
You can't just rent everybody's Dogecoin, right? And so I think that's probably. I think it's a good way to entice a subset of users that are financially motivated. But I think it's the cultural side that you mentioned that is probably like those are the real Doge evangelists that are kind of driving the culture forward. So tapping into them probably requires like something more creative.
Yeah, Steven, I am curious because you've seen a ton of token launches on on Solana utilizing Metaplex Genesis, if you think that there might be similar challenges or where you foresee potential roadblocks here.
I think the biggest goal would be how do you set up Solana to be the primary destination for price discovery for Dogecoin? Like how do you convince Elon to be a liquidity provider for whatever billions of dollars of Dogecoin he's hiding under his mattress? And if you can do that successfully, then you've really flipped the script where like people are coming to Solana to trade, and like that's where the price originates, and then you're arbing from there to everywhere else. And I think if you create that anchor, then all of these other use cases and applications like become inevitable because it's like right there in the same composable system. So I think if there was like a singular focus in terms of that activation, like I would be focusing on how do you get these big players in the Dogecoin community, the whales, to lean in, to LP, to understand that like this shift is fundamental and that when you're a liquidity provider, you're actually getting exposure to the economics of the exchange business. You're getting a majority of the trading fees, where like the DEXs actually only take a small fraction. The blockchain takes incredibly small fees, and so now you've basically the community has now socialized the exchange business. And like if you can do that successfully, then all of these other applications, like people launching their own ICOs in Doge or games or payments, all of that I think becomes inevitable because it exists on this single composable network.
Yeah, great answer. Raul, take us home. Last question. Any challenges, roadblocks that you foresee in this initiative?
I think if we are targeting like Web2 users, as Steven mentioned, like on the exchanges, users do not have to pay for the fees, right? They only have like this one token and they can use it to, like swap it or use for any other reasons. But if we are targeting those users to actually use it on Solana, then we have to, like educate them about like how chain works, then the gas fees. And if we are able to, abstract all of those things, because like for developers, there are like multiple toolings right now available on Solana where they can abstract for gas fees for users using Jupyter, have like gasless APIs for swapping and stuff. So I think for them educating those stuff, actually if we are targeting Web2 users, I think that will be very hard for us. Other than that, I think for developers, building with any developer tool on Solana is actually really easy. All the documentations are like really good. Metaplex is there and all the other developer tools are there. So I think that won't be a major issue for developers.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much to our awesome speakers, Raul, Steven, and Jordan. And thank you guys for attending DogeCon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pedro.
Thanks, man.
All right, thank you guys for your insights. Over the past year, I think one thing has become very clear in the market. More POW assets and web assets are moving into high performance chains to get faster trading and better liquidity. So the big question is, how does it actually work on Solana, and what are the benefits, and what does it mean for traders and for the broader ecosystem? Let's take this question and hold our last panel today. Please warmly welcome to the stage our panelist, Mr. Macaulay Ho, Partnership of Meteora, Mr. Adnam Jin, Advisor of Solana Foundation, Mr. Michael Huang, CEO of Orca, Mr. Maggie Ni, G20 Group, and our lovely moderator, Tony Liu, co-founder of Psi Protocol. Please warmly welcome to the stage.
Panel today. Welcome our panel speakers.
Here. Oh, okay.
All right. All right. Before we talk about Dogecoin, maybe we can start with a self-introduction of everyone here and also your company.
All right. I guess I'll start. Hi, I'm Malcolm. I'm leading partnerships over at Meteora. So Meteora is the liquidity backbone for Solana. We've built liquidity infrastructure and tooling for builders in the space. For us, we have two core products. DLMM is our concentrated pool product, which allows people to concentrate their liquidity, earn yield from the trading volatility. And DBC, which is a open source bonding curve product, where people are able to build like their own applications, such like pump fund style called Launchpad or prediction markets using bonding curves. So to date, we have done about 12 billion in trading volume, of which generate 1.5 billion in fees, with 90% going back towards our LPs. So it's gonna be like Meteora is the place to kind of like support net new assets and build new products off. Yeah.
I'm Adam. I'm from Solana Foundation. Solana is a layer 1 blockchain launched back in 2019, and then has been running through a lot of up and downs. It's featured for its fast and very low transaction cost. I'm sure people attending this meeting probably like mostly just coming for Solana, so I'll save the time for others.
Hey, I'm Michael, also known as TMOC. I lead Orca. Orca has actually been around since 2021, and we are a AMM and decentralized exchange on Solana. We're focused on two things: helping our LPs discover opportunities and new assets so that they can earn a return on their capital. And also, we're helping assets, leading into today's discussion, whether you're a new asset or a wrapped asset, find like deep liquidity and healthy markets on Solana. So excited to talk to everyone about that today.
Hi, I'm Maggie from G20 Group. We are a Swiss licensed asset manager, and we are a trading firm in TradFi trading Forex. In crypto, we are market making, treasury management, and OTC service provider here. And we are the close partner of different foundations within like top 50 foundations. And also we are launching a lot of like TGE projects recently. We are looking forward to any kind of partnership and relationship here. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Now we can start to talk about Dogecoin. So, yeah, I know most of our speakers here have trading backgrounds. So I'm curious about your personal stories with Dogecoin. Maybe we can start with Maggie for this question. Maggie always shares a lot of trading alphas with me. So I think you have like some very interesting stories.
Actually, it's a quite sad story because I had the chance to own Dogecoin at very early stage. When I was in college years, I heard in a news saying that Harvard student was mining, digging Dogecoin using their the computer at campus. I was wondering what Dogecoin was, and I Googled and I saw the Doge tip bot on Reddit, but I wasn't able to buy anywhere, so I missed the opportunity here. And the first Dogecoin I owned was in 2019 through the listing on Huobi, I think. Yeah.
And then maybe Michael?
Sure. Yeah, so I come from an engineering background, and I was introduced to proof of work assets quite early, and I actually ran a miner in my New York City apartment with 4 video cards, and it could heat the entire apartment during winter. So I was able to mine some, a little bit of Litecoin and Dogecoin, and unfortunately, you couldn't really compete with ASICs for Bitcoin back then. So that's my interesting story. Yeah.
Glad to know you're an early stage miner, Michael.
I didn't really hold on to much, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually did the same thing. I had 6 GPU cards running in an apartment. I was in Chicago.
Nice.
So during winter, it was actually very, very warm.
Yeah, it warmed the whole apartment.
And it's very quiet too. So it's actually very good warm heat things in the apartment. But I actually did it very early, 2015. I exchanged 1 Bitcoin to I forgot 100 million Dogecoin. That was initially when Dogecoin was created. It it was a joke. Every community was saying like, Bitcoin is nothing.
Yep.
See, I can create a Dogecoin right away, and it's just running the same mechanism. But then I forgot the key, so yeah, that was a sad story too.
But glad you were with Solana.
Right. Yeah. Just keep it revolving, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I had to serve the army in Singapore, and then everyone in army was like talking about Dogecoin at one point in time, and I was like, what is this? I took what little allowance I had to buy some Dogecoin. I remember Elon Musk shilling Dogecoin a ton, and like he was supposed to go on like Saturday Night Live and supposed to pump Doge to like $1 or something like that. Or everyone that's what I was like believing back then. So I bought a lot, and like a sad story as well. I lost a lot as well there at what I had. But I think that was like my exposure towards Dogecoin. It was like a lot of like it's like a very my first meme coin culture sort of token, and I was really influenced with the community back then. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you. So everyone has their like stories with Dogecoin, Bitcoin. Some of them are like success stories, especially for early stage, participants. So yes, thank you everyone. And actually for Side Protocol, we founded POW Alliance, which is the first kind of like alliance for POW players. And in August, we hosted a POW Alliance event, and there was a panel about POW versus POS, which is a pretty spicy panel. Adam was also there.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, in our panel today, I would also love to have your guys' views on POW coins versus POS tokens. What are the main differences from your perspective? For example, in terms of utility and properties. Maybe for these questions, we can start with Malcolm.
Yeah, I think with POW, the most prominent one is like BTC, right? So that itself is like industry standard. For the rest itself, I think a lot of people mine for fun, and I think people were just trying to like, have fun with it and trade with it. Myself, I'm not an expert around between like POW and POS. Yeah, I'm more on the liquidity side, I think, and liquidity and trading side of things. So like if there's like a fun asset, people will trade it. If liquidity is healthy, people will trade it. To my understanding as well, is like POW for Doge is kind of inflationary as well, and right now there's just most of the trading is just happening on Sexes, and there's nothing else to be done as a token for Doge, right? So I think it's also kind of those things where I think Lily was earlier on this stage talking about bringing it to Sol and having access towards like the Sol sort of like ecosystem to enjoy the DeFi access. So you could actually like earn a lot of yield opportunities with Doge as a collateral, and like yeah.
And then maybe we can start with Michael. I want to keep Adam
up.
as the last for giving us the memory. You was on that.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually going to say something similar to what Malcolm said. I think like proof of work initially kind of started more as like a commodity, like digital commodities. I know Doge has kind of changed that a bit, but Bitcoin is one that really like started that narrative. Doge, for a while is much more about like being a currency or being a store of value, whereas proof of stake, it's almost like they're productive financial assets in a sense, and that's how like a lot of TradFi views it as well. So yeah, I think that's one of the key differences, and one of the key benefits of actually wrapping assets is to be able to give these different types of properties to like the commodity assets, in my view. So yeah.
Maggie.
So from a liquidity provider's perspective, I think the first generation of proof of work tokens, the finality is like quite long. So for us, it's hard to manage and rebalance across the like the chains and ecosystems. So it's a little bit hard for us to provide liquidity there, even through centralized venues. And for POS assets, it's easier, and you have like DeFi ecosystem, which means you don't rely on the centralized venues anymore. So it's like kind of different perspectives. Yeah.
And then, Adam, we would love to listen to your summary.
Yeah, I do agree with everyone. I think like the major difference is like, the finality is different. I think like, POS is actually more easy to upgrade down the road, because right now we're facing a lot of traditional finance and traditional companies integration. I think having like POS is actually way much easier and faster turnaround for adjusting their needs to become more adaptive for their long-term requirements. So, but POW is actually very decentralized in a lot of ways. So I think it really depends on the usage. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, guys. And we already mentioned rep assets, and we all know there's so many rep assets on Solana, and Solana has been promoting the idea of internet capital market. So I'm curious, what do you think are probably the best use cases for rep assets on Solana? So yeah, maybe we can start with Malcolm.
I think around rep assets, it's more towards distribution and access, right? So I think a lot of, I guess like in the past, like a lot of like what you have in terms of like your own native token it only makes sense in your own ecosystem, right? It's stuck there. The next kind of avenue is just towards like centralized exchanges, and that's on the trading side, I guess. But with DeFi itself, there's a lot more access and functionalities that you get access to. So I think I can quote like on Meteora side, we've actually worked with a bunch of rep assets on our side, namely Hype, Zcash, and also Monet during their TGE itself. And what we saw was very interesting, right? We saw LPers and traders congregating on chain, right? We saw at the hype, let's just focus on Monet for a moment, is that like at the hype of TGE itself, we saw Meteora to be the number 2 DEX or the number 2 trading avenue in crypto during their TGE. So what that tells us is that there's a bunch of people that are, they love the trading volume and yield that they can get from the trading activity, and there's traders there to participate as well. So it's cyclic, of course, right? But the main thing is that access and distribution, and people get to get exposure for the asset on chain as well. And moving past that, I think like a lot of the Doge holders are on spot on centralized exchanges, but they haven't get the chance to the experience to earn yield on Meteora, on Orca, or any lending and borrowing protocol. So yeah, it's super interesting.
I think like rep assets on Solana really can increase the assets efficiency. Because a lot of times, as Malcolm said, like you're holding a spot, it doesn't really do anything. But with the rep assets, you will be able to enjoy the speed of Solana, and also the most importantly, the Solana ecosystem, right? Which including the borrow lending, the trading, everything. So just holding the token doesn't do anything versus like you will be able to do the LP or earn yields and do borrow lending stuff. That actually opened up a very big gate for a lot of assets that existing on Solana that didn't existing in the crypto that didn't do much.
Michael?
Yeah, I think the way I would view it is very similar to what they've shared already, but specifically for like the asset issuer side, like why would you want to wrap your asset? I think like the distribution part makes a lot of sense. And then the other side, which was touched on, is like the utility or the productivity of it is like really for the trader or the the holder side of it, the investor side. So I think that's how I would break it down. And maybe the one thing I can share that I think is interesting is about my own experience of learning that I could wrap my Bitcoin for the first time, right? Like it was just sitting in my cold wallet because I wanted to hold long term, and that was it. That was the end of story. But then when I actually realized that, I can move this over to Ethereum by wrapping it and earn yield on it, I can deposit it as collateral. It kind of became this gateway drug for me to understand what DeFi is and really dip my toes in as a user. So I think it's really exciting for a whole new class of users to realize that these things that they're just holding, they can actually do a lot of stuff with it, and it's going to be a great way to onboard a lot of new users too. So yeah.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Michael just said, because like Solana has very active retail users and traders in the ecosystem, and but to be honest, the asset side is not that it's not that great in amount, I would say, because like meme coin, they have a comparatively shorter life cycle, so it doesn't remain as long-term assets. In this case, I think bridging other assets, like wrap assets to Solana ecosystem will inject more assets to the ecosystem and also create more active DeFi ecosystem. And for the Dogecoin specifically, because it's the grandfather or ancestor of meme coin, so the two communities echo each other. I think it works quite well. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Thank you. And I have one follow-up question for Michael and Malcolm. So you guys are the largest DEXs on Solana. Let's say if we have the opportunity to bring the Wrap Doge to your platforms, what do you think are the biggest values of a Wrap Dogecoin on your DEXs? Maybe we start with Michael first.
Yeah, sure. So, I think one of the really cool things about Orca is that we've been around for a long time. We've been around since 2021, and we've had a user base that has stuck with us for almost 5 years now, which is pretty crazy. And one thing that I think is very cool about Orca is that we've been able to help build healthy and deep liquid markets. And in recent times, we've been able to have the deepest liquidity on a lot of major pairs and important pools without having any points or incentives. And I'm saying that not because we're against it or anything, but it's we don't even have the luxury of doing that right now because we TGE'd in 2021, right? So I think just observing that and seeing our users, grow more advanced over time and understand how to deposit liquidity, manage it. I think that these assets that come to Orca, they will be able to, share. We can share these opportunities with our users. And I guess another thing too is that Orca has been open source since day one. And in terms of proof of work chains, fair distribution, openness, this crypto ethos has always been very important to these types of chains. And that's something, that we feel very values aligned on. And overall, we're just excited to help assets come over and find their new home on Solana.
Yeah, I think over at Meteora, we want to be the place that supports net new assets, right? And the various innovations. So particularly towards Doge coming over, I think it's super interesting where it brings back to my previous sort of experience with Doge, with how it started out as a joke, as a meme, and there was just a cult-like behavior behind it. I still believe that behavior or that culture is still around. I think it's looking for a place to kind of settle in beyond sexes. So it could be a really cool sort of onboarding experience, not just to for them to kind of try out LPing on Meteora, and something that we actually invest a lot with our DeFi community, where they're called the LP army essentially, right? They actually look for a lot of yield opportunities. They are very vocal about avenues where they're able to earn yield and actually put their own money to work, right? So having that kind of cross-pollination in terms of culture and I guess opportunities for people to kind of enable get more access with Doge, or I think that's pretty beautiful. And I think on the liquidity side, of course, right? I think with any assets of interest, we want deep liquidity, and Meteora has historically kind of proven that we are able to support launches and tokens liquidity at capacity. So doing it in a very cultural and community aspect.
Yeah, so having a wrapped asset on Solana is kind of the first step, right? But also how to boost on the initial liquidity is also very important for a successful launch of a wrap asset. So for Adam, what do you think of this? How should we kind of what's the best strategy for building the initial liquidity for a wrap asset?
Yeah, of course. I think that, first of all, you want to have a short-term bootstrap, maybe just like having them to get some yield. I think people this is like the nature of this industry that people are actually looking for yield. I think the second one is like how to actually penetrating this token to all different ecosystem partners. So able to trade on or borrow lending on Camino or Jupiter or Meteora or Alka is a key. And then I think third is like community has to understanding that there is a huge utility that stay around this wrap token that they can use, so they'll be able to bridge over as well. I guess if there's another way to do this is like, currently there are a lot of custody, custodize different assets. They can actually provide some liquidity as well. So I think these are a couple ways we can do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Maggie.
Yeah, I think the first thing is still security. Like you have to have a very reliable solution, bridging solution, and for the first movers, and also you need liquidity providers in the first place to create deep enough pools for the first movers to join, and also the integration with across ecosystems and creating different pools, especially maybe for Dogecoin specifically, like Dogecoin and other meme coins pools, not only USDT, USDC pools. Then that will be quite interesting. Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah. How about wrap Dogecoin? We know the bridge is coming. We will see the wrap Doge on Solana very soon, which is P Doge. So, yeah. What do you guys think are the key success factors for the P Doge on Solana? I mean, for example, in the short term, we know yields is always very important. And also in the long term, what are these success factors respectively? Yeah, maybe you can start with Malcolm.
I think success factors is definitely on liquidity, right? I think bootstrapping that initial liquidity and making sure that potentially migrating the group of users that are trading Doge on centralized exchanges to Sol is the important bit itself. I think kind of sharing more about what this bridge enables is a huge part. Simple strategies around how you can potentially accumulate Doge or DCA down Doge with your own capital is things that I don't think you can do much on centralized exchanges, and yeah, you can do it on the DeFi environment. But yeah, I think with good liquidity and volume itself, people feel like there's not much difference between trading on SEX and DEXs. Is the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the P Doge coming to Solana is actually really I think Solana's success of having this infra ready and the diversify of the ecosystem that can provide Dogecoin a lot of utilities. I think that's the success that people are actually start using Dogecoin to do collateral, borrow lending, and other stuff, even payments natively on Solana. But yeah, plus all the liquidity things that Malcolm mentioned.
I mean, to add on to that also, I mean, it could be pretty cool if there are prediction markets or other consumer cloud applications using P Doge as well, right? So maybe if there are Doge builders that are looking to build applications on top of Sol and using P Doge as a central sort of token, that could be pretty cool as well, right? So far, people have been trading it, but no one has been building around it. So it will be interesting to see how or what happens after P Doge is enabled. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say to kind of summarize, composability aspect is going to be the way to have long-term sustainable, utility and reasons for people to keep using it that aren't available on, just being on the proof of work chain itself. So, and access distribution. So yeah, I don't have, I think I would just echo what everyone said. Yeah.
Peggy?
Yeah, I think what about the renaissance of the tipping bot, because it's not running anymore, but maybe we can have that on Twitter with wrapped Doge. I was say is an interesting idea, right?
Got you. So let's say once Rap Doge is live, this question is actually for Michael and Malcolm. Let's assume Rap Doge is there on your platform. I'm curious, how would you guys promote the Rap Doge? Michael.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is really helping. I think there's two layers to this. Like one is the discovery and activation for our existing users. So making sure that they understand this opportunity is there, how they can participate in it, how they can deposit liquidity. And I think like going a layer above that is like activation of new users, because there's going to be a whole new user base that's interested in these, what does it mean to have Rap Doge? So it's really like improving the upper layers of the funnel so that they can easily onboard, easily understand the risks of these different opportunities, and then hopefully convert into becoming users and liquidity providers that help build the healthier market. So that's we would really be focused on improving that and bringing more users to Solana.
Pretty similar actually. Highlighting the opportunities with Doge is one, and I think on the Meteora front is more towards like simplifying the user experience if they are looking to LP their way around and earn yield, and basically simplify the experience and make them understand the risk of what they are interacting with and the opportunities that comes with it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, all right, we have one last question left for our panel. So actually, recently, Mona did something very interesting on Solana. They mint their tokens on Solana before their SEX listing. This is actually something very fun for me. These days, to be honest, a lot of projects are complaining that centralized exchange listings are kind of like very expensive. They're kind of like giving away their kidneys to the centralized exchange. So Mona's case study is kind of like a very good kind of like new route for every builder, every project. So I'm very curious about everyone's views on this route. How do you think this kind of a route is going to change the TGE of a crypto project? Yeah, we can start with Alan.
I think Mona launch on Solana is quite interesting. I think this is a very good experiment. I think first of all, it's an EVM compatible, chain and a token, but I choose to Solana to launch its TGE. It actually, if you're looking back at the trading volumes, the daily trading volume is about like 200 to 300 million. I think it's actually very close to a lot of centralized exchanges volumes. I think on the other side, this is actually reflecting that we're looking at a lot of perp DEX is getting a lot of volumes from centralized exchanges as well. This is actually a very good revolve into how DEX and perp DEX is actually getting into popularities among all the users, which as a CFTC chairman mentioned that they want to get all the assets on chain next year, maybe in the next 2 years. It could happen sooner than we think. So long-term wise, I think all the liquidity on chain are getting more and more and able to support trading activities and also this assets on chain global wise. So yeah, if any projects going to TGE soon, I think this could be a very interesting way to consider. Yeah.
What's your view, Maggie? You've been helping a lot of pre-TGE projects.
Yeah, I think because according to my observation, even without Binance, OKX, or other tier 1 venues, I mean Mona has had Coinbase, but their volume is very decent across all the smaller exchanges and on chain. So it means they are not relying on the liquidity from the top venues. They have their own community and ecosystem. That's very important if you choose to launch either on tier 2 exchanges or on chain, because if you have your own community, you can launch anywhere and you have volume, and that's and I think that's also the reason why Mona chose to launch on Solana, because Solana has bigger like trading community and yeah. So I think for liquidity providers like us, it's kind of easier for us to manage a mature like DeFi ecosystem like Solana rather than a new layer one's native DeFi ecosystem. If we cover on chain, it's a good thing for us, and it's a unified liquidity for us. Yeah, and we are quite excited to explore this new way of launch, and we will do more research here in the future. So.
Michael?
I guess from my side, I think we've seen a few native token launches that happen on-chain and taken the roadmap of launching on-chain first and then slowly kind of like make their way through the centralized exchanges. I think from a launch point of view, when you're actually launching on centralized exchanges, you don't get a lot of you're not the direct benefactor in a few ways. Like, you don't capture the trading volume in terms of fees to yourself, and like you don't get to engage with your core users quite a fair bit. So every token launch is unique in its own way, but I think the whole sort of like DEX or on-chain focused kind of launch removes a lot of that, I guess, payments that you need to pay to centralized exchanges, but you get to kind of like interact with the traders firsthand, and you kind of build up that trading momentum towards the other avenues. And we've seen several good token launches that came out from that format. I think moving forward, we expect to see a lot more of that, especially if launches on chains are getting more fair and democratized. Yeah.
Michael?
Yeah, I think for launches like Monad, there's asset issuer needs, right? And then why would you consider launching in this manner? And it comes down to distribution and liquidity depth and healthy markets. I think one thing that's interesting is like Solana has been kind of like the home of meme coins, right, for the previous cycle. But what that really did is it built like a really resilient trading ecosystem that can list things immediately. It can like have deep integrations across the whole ecosystem where your token appears immediately, and you basically plug into this hyperactive and crypto native base that's already used to trading and wants to trade more assets. So you have the distribution. And on the other side, in terms of like liquidity, centralized exchanges, like you mentioned earlier, they often charge a lot of big listing fees. They don't list that many assets. And AMMs are actually very good at price discovery. And like Malcolm mentioned, if you are also seeding liquidity for your own asset, you can collect some of those fees, right? So in a sense, if you think about the stack of like internet capital markets on Solana, on the asset issuer side, we can argue that we're providing an equal or better service than centralized exchanges do for a fraction of the cost, right? So if you're really thinking about distribution and liquidity, like you should very seriously consider about launching in this manner. And I think something that's interesting about the Monad launch is I think on-chain on Solana, like within 24 hours, there was maybe over $80 million of trading volume on the first 24 hours, and that was more than Monad traded on the Monad chain itself, right? So I think that's like an interesting case study of things to come. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, everyone. And that's the end of our panel. I hope everyone had fun. Thanks for listening. Thank you for your insights. Yep.
Thank you.
And I hope everyone enjoyed DogeCon today. It has been a long day. Thanks for coming, everyone. Yeah. And
all right.
thank you. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. And what a productive day, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all enjoyed our event so far, and we look forward to seeing more progress and celebrating more success in the industry between Sai and every one of you joining us today. Thank you so much. Please take your time to enjoy the refreshments, take some time for networking, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.